19-year-old Kelsey Stewart is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old Joshua Marriott, for the cost of a bass guitar. Kelsey says Joshua sold it without her permission.
Ms. Stewart, according to what I read in your complaint, you and the defendant were an item some time ago, and while you were together, you loaned him a precious guitar.
Yes.
That had been given to you. You'll explain to me why it's so sentimental. You gave it to Mr. Marriott to use, according to him, in his band. And then you broke up. According to him, this was a gift. He had no use for it after a period of time. And then it was sold, not by him, but by his mother. Where did you get this guitar?
My father had given me the guitar for a Christmas present before he passed away in 2001.
So it was sentimental for you?
Yes, it was very.
And when did your father pass away?
He passed away 5 months later.
Why did he give you a guitar?
He, for some reason, decided that I was going to play bass guitar, so he finally just bought one for me.
Did you learn?
No, he passed away before I could get lessons.
How come you gave it to him?
Lack of judgment. I shouldn't have.
Tell me when you gave it to him.
The following year.
When in 2002?
May.
Summer, fall, winter, or spring?
Spring.
And when did you break up with him?
We had broken up before then, actually.
Well, then, why transfer this sentimental guitar to someone with whom you no longer had a relationship?
We were still friends at the time, and we were still on good terms. Like I said, better lack of judgment.
Well, tell me about when you turned it over to him. I want to hear.
He was at his house. I drove with my current boyfriend to drop it off.
Why would you do that?
He asked if he could loan the guitar. We had actually discussed it before when we were dating, and so it came up as, remember when you said I could borrow the guitar? And he stated that he needed it to go on tour with his band, and I said that I would loan it to him until I needed it back.
When did you think you were going to need it back?
I wasn't sure.
Did you ask to borrow the guitar for the group to go on tour?
Yes, I did. And the band didn't end up going on tour. And after that, I just put it in my garage and it just sat there. And I didn't hear from her for 2 years.
That's not true.
Well, when was the next time you contacted him about your guitar?
I was unable to get a hold of him for about a few months, and then before I left, I found him online again.
Well, just a second. You drove it over to his house, you said. Did he move?
Yes, he did.
No forwarding address?
He would not take my phone calls, and so the only way I was able to contact him was online. And I contacted him, and I said I was moving to San Diego, and I was going to need the guitar back to take with me. He said it was in storage and that it would be fine, and it would be returned, no questions asked.
When was this?
September of 2003.
Did you have it in storage?
Yes, I did.
Could you stand up? You don't need anything to hold on to, right? When she contacted you and you said it was in storage, you were telling her the truth.
No, actually, I wasn't.
Well, was it in storage or wasn't it in storage?
It was in storage, and then my mother sold it.
So this wasn't a couple of years later. This was a year later, September of 2003, when she contacted you and you told her it was in storage, you can have it back, no problem. So you were lying.
I actually contacted her, which is the funny thing, because I found her on a site called MySpace. And if I would have known that she would have attacked me on the internet for this guitar.
Your Honor, that was 2 years later.
When she contacted you and said, I'm moving to San Diego.
She told me that she was in San Diego when she contacted me. I was also looking for her, too.
Why were you looking for her?
So I could give it back to her before my mom was going to sell it.
Did your mother have permission to sell it?
Yes, she did.
She had your permission to sell it?
Yes, because
How big is this bass guitar?
Like this.
Where were you living, and where was your mother living?
I was living in Campbell with my grandparents, and my mother was living in Gilroy.
Why couldn't you take the guitar with you?
Because I kept on moving around too myself, and I wasn't going to carry someone else's belongings with me.
Oh. Did you have any clue that this was a gift from her father?
No, I did not.
Is that right?
No, he would have known. It was a very sentimental thing, and I would have told him.
Yeah, I assume you would have told him.
If it was so sentimental, why would you let me borrow it?
Like I said, it was
Well, that's a good question. You want to know why? Because sometimes people in affairs of the heart behave irrationally. I tell you this for sure, Mr. Marriott, I wouldn't have loaned you the guitar. What kind of a guitar was it?
It was an Ibanez bass guitar.
And how much will it cost you to replace it?
$300.
You have any papers to prove that?
Yes, I do.
Let me see. Is this a picture of the guitar?
Yeah, but it was red.
It was not red.
Yes, it was.
Wasn't quite interested in the color, but that's what it looks like.
Yes.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. Goodbye, good luck, have a happy life. This one doesn't have any sentimental value, but at least you have it. Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Rhonda Vito is suing the mother of her son's friend, Anna Betancourt, for the cost to fix a dirt bike. Rhonda claims Anna's son, 17-year-old Sean, rode her son's bike without permission and wrecked it.
Miss Vito, which of these two young men is your son?
Anthony, the first one.
How old are you, Anthony?
16.
How tall are you?
6'1".
What do you feed him?
Pasta.
Pasta. Which one of these two young men is
Sean.
am I going to grill today?
Sean.
Ms. Betancourt, and this is your son, whose name is Sean.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Vito, it is your complaint that Ms. Betancourt's son drove your son's dirt bike without permission, got into an accident, and damaged the bike. You believe Mrs. Betancourt should be responsible for fixing the bike. Ms. Betancourt said that her son did have permission to ride the bike, that he was injured, that you're just lucky she's not suing you for the injuries because he broke an ankle. Is that right?
Yeah.
And your son gave her son permission to ride the bike, so that's it. Shouldn't be here. Anthony.
Yes.
Anthony, when were you riding the bike when it was running? What date was the last date before this incident? You have to look down at a piece of paper?
No.
What date?
May 8th.
And where were you on May 8th?
We were at a track in Brockton, riding.
And is it a track where they just have dirt bikes?
Yes.
Who was there?
Myself, Nick.
You have to speak up. You hear I'm speaking? I'm projecting. You can hear me, right?
Myself, Nick, and Dennis.
Dennis, that would be you.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Sean wasn't there.
No.
This was after school, or there was no school on that day?
It was after school.
What time?
About like 3:30 to 5:30.
Okay. Now, you're going to tell me what happened.
Myself, Nick, and Dennis were riding. My bike wasn't working right, so we drove it to my other friend's house. I tried fixing it, but it didn't work, and Sean asked to ride it.
Okay, now Sean was at your other friend's house?
Yes.
They were just hanging out?
Yes.
So far, are we correct, Sean?
Yes.
So up to this point, our stories are in sync, right? Sean asked if he could ride the bike.
Yes, and me and Nick said no, and I was putting the tools away, and he got on the bike and with no helmet and just left.
Why did you say no?
Because the bike wasn't working properly.
Is that the reason you left the track?
Yes.
Did you have a bike with you that day?
No, Your Honor.
Did you have a bike with you that day?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you had your own bike?
Yes.
He's petrified. All right, so he got on the bike without a helmet and took off. Go ahead.
About 5 minutes after I saw him, I tried waving him over, and he kept going.
Well, what was he going around in a circle?
Yeah, like he went around the block. I saw him, I waved him over. He didn't come over. And about 10 minutes later, he came back with a broken ankle.
By the way, state of Massachusetts, are you required to ride with a helmet?
Yes.
You're also 16, Sean?
17.
17. So you're older than he is,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I start eating more pasta.
I don't like pasta.
Okay, let me hear your version. You're at your friend's house. He comes by with his bike. Go ahead.
He came by with his bike. They were fixing it. Dennis rode the bike.
Talk back. Came by and they were fixing it.
Yes.
Were you outside when they were fixing it?
No, I shut up there. I got out after they were done fixing it, and I came out and.
Well, how did you know they were fixing it?
Because they told me that after.
After what?
I crashed.
After the crash,
Yeah.
not before.
No.
So you showed up after they had been fooling around with the bike.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then Dennis was riding it, and then when he stopped riding it, I asked if I could ride it. He said no. I asked him again. He said no, and then I just hopped on the bike and rode it. Because I rode it again, so I didn't really think it was a big deal.
Did you tell that to your mother?
No.
No, ma'am.
He didn't tell that to you.
No, ma'am.
He had an epiphany here. Right?
Yeah.
Sean, you had an epiphany here, right? You know what that word means? Change of heart. You had an enlightenment. So this is the first time your mother's hearing that he said, no, you can't ride the bike. Now, do you think that if your mother knew that you didn't have permission to ride this bike, that we would be here today? You stole the bike, right? If you ask the owner of a bike, a car, something. Can I use your vehicle? And they say, no, you can't use it. Oh, I'm going to use it anyway. Go get rid of your tools. While you're getting rid of your tools, I'll get on the bike and ride it. Sean, what do you have to say for yourself?
I don't know.
Miss Betancourt, you changed your mind? Your son rode the bike without permission. He actually stole it. He was told he couldn't drive it. You think he's responsible for the damage it caused?
But, Your Honor, I also have medical bills that my insurance is not covering.
Well, let me ask you this question, Miss Betancourt. Let's say your son was walking down the street on his way home, and he saw a red Corvette convertible. And he got into the car, because the keys were there, got into the car, and he took off with the car. And he crashed it, and he got hurt. You think that the owner of that car would be responsible for your medical bills?
No, but also what I didn't finish is that what they're charging me, they're also charging me for part that was fixed that had nothing to do with the accident. And Dennis is the one who took the bike to the shop. And some of the chains and the stuff was worn out during all the periods that they were riding the bikes. So it had nothing to do with the accident.
Well, how much do you believe you are responsible for of the bills that they had?
If we take that out, it would be $355.78.
How much did it cost you to fix the bike?
$631.10.
But the bike wasn't working before he got on the bike properly.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So it was going to have to go in to be fixed, because the reason you didn't want him to ride the bike is because it wasn't working properly.
Yes.
So at least part of that $631 that it cost you to fix the bike was as a result of wear and tear on the bike, or something that had absolutely no relation to the accident. So what has to do with the accident, Anthony?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, she knows. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $355.78. Good. Truth will out. Aren't you glad I didn't have to call on you?
No.
That's all. Thank you.
James Mixon is suing his former live-in girlfriend, Keisha Glade, for the return of his furniture and baseball cards.
Mr. Mixon, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time in her home.
Yes.
And according to you, she unceremoniously kicked you out and kept some furniture that belongs to you.
Yes.
You want it back. Ms. Glade says that you were nothing but a lazy bum during the time that you lived there. You paid no rent. The least you could do is leave the old furniture there. It's not worth very much anyway. She is counterclaiming. She says that you should have paid rent, but you didn't, and that you slashed her tires because you got mad at her. So let me make this simple. The fact that he should have paid rent, you are absolutely correct. But that doesn't mean he's going to pay rent, because you allowed him to be a bum.
True.
So you were an enabler. How long did he live with you?
For a year and a month.
And how many months of those 13 months that he lived with you did he pay rent?
None.
None. Why are you laughing?
Because that was funny.
No, she's not funny. I'm funny.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Mixon claims ex-girlfriend Keisha Glade won't return his personal belongings. Keisha is countersuing for unpaid rent and slashed tires.
How many months did you pay rent, Mr. Mixon?
None, like she said.
You were a bum.
No.
Well, if you don't pay rent, you're a bum.
We never had an agreement on that.
You don't have to have an agreement.
I was supposed to take care of the other bills.
What other bills did you take care of?
PG&E, water, and cable.
How much was that a month?
About $600.
And you would pay all those bills, and you have proof that you paid those bills?
Yes, and
I'd like to see.
Here's some of the bills. This doesn't go with that.
And proof that you paid them?
I got the receipts. If I gave her the receipt, it was only because she dropped me off at work early.
What's the Salvation Army?
We went and bought a computer desk and a TV stand that I paid for. She said I don't do nothing, though.
When did you buy this furniture?
I bought it maybe a month after I moved in with her. I came in with a futon. I came in with a stereo set. I came in with that set of baseball cards right there.
Oh, well, that you're going to... That set of baseball
cards?
Yeah,
That's mine. I had since I was...
I don't have a problem giving it back to him.
Can I see the set of baseball cards, please? Oh, one of my children would be bonkers over those baseball cards. I have to take a look at that. Are you a real collector, sir?
Yes. I had those since I was in the
mint
6th grade.
condition, or what kind of condition
They're
are
in
these?
mint condition.
Really? You know they're worth a lot of money. Are these Topps baseball cards?
Topps and Fleers.
Well, Fleers aren't worth as much.
I know,
right?
that's why I try to stay more with Topps.
See, I know a little bit about it.
I see.
Okay. Give him back his baseball cards, Butcher Bird. Surprised he left without them.
I also had a pending restraining order which granted me possession rights of the bed, the couch, the TV, and the lamps that he's here.
Show me. You mean property restraint that number 13 is circled? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I actually filed it. It asked me what possessions that I still had for me to temporarily keep possession of.
Well, you can't temporarily keep possession of his property anymore. He's going to pick it up. You have a temporary restraining order. You have to send somebody to get your stuff.
Okay, but
Sir, within 5 days. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I just want my rent.
Just a second. Listen to me. You're not entitled to any rent. You didn't have a contract with him for rent.
We had a verbal agreement. The whole initial reason why he moved in was because I needed financial help.
Listen to me very carefully. Madam, if you let somebody live with you for 13 months and they're not paying rent, you don't come to complain about it now. He's getting his furniture back. He got his cards back. Now we're going to hear about your tires, and I don't want to hear any nonsense about rent.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, tires.
Well, my witness here saw him slash the second tire on that day.
Your name?
Leandra Whitmore.
On what day did you allegedly see Mr. Mixon slash a tire?
I forgot.
No, don't look over there. Don't look over here. Look over here.
I forgot what day it was on, but it was the same day as the first tire. We were at the studio recording. I'm a recording engineer. I record her. And I heard the car skirt by the first time. I was sitting at the computer. And I had came outside. When I came outside, I saw him by her left tire. Then he ran and got in his car and drove off.
Did you tell her about it?
I came right in.
Did you file a police report that day?
No, we didn't do a police report.
Why not?
Because that was the first incident of numerous amounts of incidents.
What difference does it make?
Because I didn't want to get in it because he's family with my uncle, and I didn't want to say anything, but things keep happening.
Did you ever file a police report?
No, ma'am.
I filed one later after his witness started harassing us.
I mean, this lady?
Yes.
She has nothing to do with this case. She has nothing to do with me. She has nothing to do with anything that's going on here today.
I agree.
The only thing that I have to worry about today is, am I satisfied that he slashed a tire? I'm not so down.
Thank you.
I'm not convinced you saw anything. I am convinced that you're going to get your old furniture back. 5 days. You make the arrangements to get it, send somebody else to get it. And who is this person?
That's the neighbor. She the one who pulled my clothes in when Keisha threw my stuff out in the rain.
Okay.
Absolutely not. She's the nosy
Listen
hag.
to me. Listen to me. Whose neighbor is she?
She's my
Hers.
neighbor.
Okay, well, good luck. Bye.
23-year-old Patricia Serrano is suing her former friend, Elda Lugo, for a $3,500 loan plus interest. Elda claims Patricia gave her the money from a large settlement.
Ms. Serrano, according to your complaint, the defendant is a friend of yours from high school. She ran into some financial difficulty some time ago and approached you about lending her some money.
Yes, Judge.
You were a good friend. You lent her the money, $3,500. She didn't pay you back. You want your money back.
Yes.
Ms. Lugo says that you were a good friend to her. You gave her $3,500. You would come into some money. There was never any discussion of payback. As far as she was concerned, it was a gift.
That's true.
When did you graduate from high school, Miss Lugo?
In June of 2001.
And between June of 2001 and the date of this loan or gift, which was on what date?
Last year, around August or July.
How often did you see each other?
After high school, we didn't see each other because we stopped being friends. And after she had a really bad car accident, her mom came and I started being her friend again. That's when we started.
What year?
I honestly do not recall what year she had a car accident.
What year?
It was in 2002, Your Honor.
Now, tell me about the day you approached Miss Serrano with your money troubles.
I did not approach her. I was just telling her my problems that I had with my family.
Shh, I don't. Listen, if you interrupt again, I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand?
Yes, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just told her I was having really hard times with my parents. I was having a lot of financial problems.
What kind of financial problems were you having, Miss Lugo?
My mom stopped making the payments, so they took my car from me.
How old are you?
23.
Why was your mother making your car payments for you?
Because we're both on the loan, and I was giving her the money, and she was making the payments out of her account.
Who were you working for at the time?
Bay Cities National Bank.
So why weren't you paying the money directly?
Because that was just an arrangement that I had with my mom.
Your money?
I'm not saying she stole the money. I'm just saying that she wasn't making the payments, and they took the car from me.
So you're saying that if you gave your mother the money and your mother wasn't making the car payments,
she was using it for something else.
That she stole your money?
I guess.
And you told Ms. Serrano that your mother stole your money and they repossessed your car?
I told Patricia the problems that I was having with my parents and why they took my car from me.
Miss Lugo, I don't hear that that's a problem that you're having with your parents. If I believe what you're telling me, which I don't, you're telling me that your mother stole the money that you were giving her for your car loan and using it for her own purposes, and therefore they repossessed your car and you wanted to get it back.
Right.
Now, is that what you want me to believe?
That's the truth. That's exactly how everything's always been.
When did you move out of your mother's house?
Early September.
So you stayed in your mother's house another year after she stole your money?
Actually,
see where I'm going? So you had more financial difficulties than just this alleged theft by your mother of your money.
I couldn't just leave my house and just leave everything, like all my parents and my sisters behind.
Well, if I were living with somebody that stole my money and as a result of that my car was repossessed, I certainly wouldn't live there.
In June, I actually drove to Vegas, and I was going to move over there with my cousin.
That's June 2006. We're still talking about 10 months that you were living with your mother, the thief, if I believe you, which I don't.
I really didn't have a choice. I mean, I must.
Okay, you're 23 years old. You always have a choice. Okay, now I'm going to get to you, Miss Serrano. Now that I'm getting the personalities in order.
Yes.
Tell me what happened when she approached you in August of 2005 about this money.
Well, she told me the story that her car had gotten repossessed.
Did she tell you how it got repossessed?
Well, she didn't give me a straight answer. I never really did get straight answers from her.
That's a lie.
Don't interrupt. Go ahead.
You know, she came to me, she said, Patty, I haven't been able to make the payments. My mom and my dad aren't helping me out. I just don't have anywhere else to go to for money.
That's not true.
And I said, well, if you need help, feel free to come to me. She said, well, thank you so much. And a couple of days later, she came to me. She said, Patty, I need to take you up on your offer. Can you lend me $3,500? And I said, sure thing, I'll write you a check. And I'm not too sure if it was a day or two later that she said, it's too much trouble to go about, you know, with the check. I can't cash it. She even told me that her mom had found the check and was questioning her about the check.
That's not true.
Why, you know, why I was giving her a check for $3,500. And she said, well, I'll give you back the check, and can you please give me $3,500 in cash? I said, wow, you know, I'm like, okay, let me see what I can work out. And I went to the bank, withdrew $3,500 cash.
Let me see from your bank.
Yeah, it's right here. It's highlighted in yellow.
Where did you get all this money from?
I was involved in a very serious car accident in 2002, and I got a small settlement out of it.
A large settlement.
Oh, that's interesting, Miss Lugo. Did you say a large settlement? How large?
I don't know.
When you said it was a large settlement, you must know something about the settlement.
That's all she would always say. She got a large settlement. I never wanted to ask her
I never
much.
told you anything.
Shh. When did she tell you about this large settlement?
After she was recovering from her injuries.
When did you get the settlement?
Sometime in 2004.
You still have any of the money left?
Yes, I do. Some in investments.
Good. So you gave her $3,500 in cash.
Yes.
And what was the arrangement about paying you back?
She said, okay, Patty, you know I wouldn't have done this if I really didn't need it. Believe me, I'm going to have this money to you tops the end of the year when I get my bonus from the bank.
That's not true.
So I said, okay, you know what?
What part of keep quiet don't you understand?
I didn't see the money. She said, well, you know, I just need a couple of more months, whatever. And I said, okay, you know, just don't forget about it. You know, I'm being your friend here.
When for the first time, Miss Lugo, did the plaintiff ask for this money back?
Early September.
That's a lie.
So what part don't you understand?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Tell me about the conversation when she asked you for the money back.
She started calling me at work, and she started emailing me at work.
What would she say when she called?
She was just calling me, telling me that she needed to meet me somewhere.
When did she, for the first time, ask you for the money back? Answer my question.
I believe her first email was September 7th.
That's not true.
Shh. Next time you're gone. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I assume you want me to consider giving you your money back.
Yes, please.
Then don't do it again. September 6th. And what did she say in the email? Do you have a copy of that email?
No, I don't.
Do you have a copy of the email?
Yes.
I want to see the email from September 6th.
She emailed me a promissory note that she wanted me to sign, that she saying that I owed her the money, and because.
Shh. Well, he emailed her, and you said to her that you planned on giving her the money.
Yeah, she was calling me at work nonstop, and she was just harassing me.
No, this has nothing to do with a response to harassment.
That's only the email that she gave you, but she didn't tell you about the phone calls that she was making to work.
I just want to see the emails. This is Wednesday, September 6th, and it's a lovely email. Absolutely lovely. You're happy for her. You're happy that she's happy. Hey, I'm not sure what's gone wrong between us again, but I really appreciate everything you have done for me and the times you've been there for me. I guess we are once again going our own separate roads. If it's the money thing, it's stopping you, don't worry. I will give it to you. Do me a favor. Please do not email me at the bank. I get in trouble for receiving personal emails.
My manager talked to me, and she was telling me that I was receiving too many personal emails. She emailed me.
Listen to me. She wants her money back.
Yeah, after she was trying to get with my boyfriend, she was trying to hook up with my boyfriend, and I confronted her about it. Until then is when she came back and wanted me to sign a promissory note and said that the gift that she gave me for $3,500 was then the loan.
I don't see why somebody who doesn't look like they're rolling in dough would give you $3,500 and not expect to be repaid at some point. Not necessarily in a week, not necessarily in a month or 6 months or even a year. But someday, within a reasonable period of time, when you got your act together, if you ever get your act together, she expected her money back. And to stand there at this point and say, well, she tried to get over on my boyfriend, and that wasn't right, and therefore I'm not paying her a dime, that's the wrong thing to do. It's not the moral thing to do. You want to end a relationship with her? Terrific. Do it. You're not friends anymore? You don't want to be friends anymore? Fine. But she was there for you when you needed her. And you're supposed to do the moral right thing and pay her her money. Just for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's all.
20-year-old suing her former friend, 19-year-old Eric Smith, for the cost to bail him out of jail after he was arrested for unpaid speeding tickets.
Ms. Hubbard, you claim that Mr. Smith owes you money for bailing him out of jail.
Yes.
And Mr. Smith acknowledges that you bailed him out of jail, but he said that that was your choice. He never agreed to pay you back the money, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
What do you do to keep yourself occupied?
I'm a full-time student and I work.
Full-time student where?
Longview Community College, Kansas City, Missouri.
And you work for whom?
Walgreens.
And what were you arrested for, Mr. Smith?
On speeding charges, tickets that I didn't pay, warrants.
Speeding, tickets, warrants. How many?
8.
How do you manage to get all these tickets if you're a full-time student and working at Walgreens?
What it was when I was in high school, I racked up a lot of tickets, like speeding tickets, and I didn't have a job in high school because I played football, and I didn't work and I never paid them off.
And how do you know Miss Hubbard?
I met her at the club.
Now, were you dating each other or you just knew her?
It was like kind of like that in-between thing where not really friends, but not really together either.
I see. Who was this smiling person over here?
This is my friend Robin.
How long have you known Robin?
About 6 years now.
So he's a good friend of yours?
Yes.
Better friend to you than Miss Hubbard, right?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Well, he schlepped all the way to court with you, didn't he?
Yeah.
From Missouri?
Yeah, from Missouri.
And who do you live with?
I stay with my dad right now.
So you have a father?
Yes.
And I guess he's known you for at least 19 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have a mother?
Yes.
She's known you for at least 19 years.
Yes.
Now, Robin here, he didn't bail you out of jail.
No, he didn't.
So he must not like you so much.
Nah.
And your father didn't bail you out of jail, right?
Right.
He didn't like you so much.
No.
Your mother didn't bail you out of jail,
no.
Right? She didn't like you so much.
No.
You have grandparents?
Yes.
Yeah, how many?
I actually have one.
Grandmother?
Yeah, grandmother.
She didn't bail you out of jail either.
No, she didn't know, actually.
I guarantee you she knew.
Okay.
So how long were all these loving people who were really attached to you, how long did they let you sit in jail when you got arrested?
The whole time.
How long was that?
That was 3 weeks.
3 weeks? I mean, we're not talking about we'll let him stay overnight to teach him a lesson, right? We're letting Mr. Full-Time Student Employee at Walgreens stay in jail 3 weeks. But then, according to what I managed to put together here, they were going to move you from one jail to another because you served your time on a whole bunch of tickets in one county, but then there were other counties looking for you. Is that right?
Yeah.
You ever hear of a man for all seasons? This is a man for all counties. So when they were going to move you, somehow Miss Hubbard bailed you out of jail.
Yes.
Were you happy to be out of jail?
Yes, I was.
How happy were you?
I was very excited.
And how did Miss Hubbard find out that they were going to move you from one jail to another?
I told her.
You told her?
Yeah, I told her.
Did you tell your mother?
No, I didn't tell my mother.
Did you tell your father?
Yes, I told him.
Did you tell Robin?
No, I didn't tell Robin.
Didn't tell Robin either,
No,
but
I
you
didn't.
told your father?
Yes.
And what'd your father say? Bye.
Yeah.
But not Miss Hubbard.
No.
She bailed you out.
Yes.
So what do you think you ought to do?
I told her thank you. I did. I told her thank you.
You told her thank you?
Yeah, I told her thank you. I never agreed to pay her back, so.
What did you say when you called her?
I just told her the situation, that I was done serving my time at that jail and that they were transferring me to a different jail. And she didn't want to see me in jail no more than I wanted to see myself in jail. So she proceeded to bail me out.
Oh, okay. Now, Miss Hubbard, why don't you tell me how it came about that you bailed him out of jail?
Well, he caught me July 19th, which was a Thursday. I knew he was going to the next jail the next day. So he basically talked about how he was tired of being there and that he didn't want to serve the days that he would be serving at the next county. He asked me if I had some money. I told him I didn't at that moment, but I had got paid that Friday. And he basically went into, you know, my bail is $220. If you have the money, I'll pay you back. I don't want to be in jail anymore.
That sounds right. That sounds like what people say.
That's not what I said.
How many times did your father bail you out of jail?
About 4 times before that.
And each time that your father bailed you out of jail, did you pay him back?
No.
That's why he didn't pay you out anymore.
Right.
How are you going to pay back? How much was his bail?
It was $250.
Well, what happened when you asked him for your money back?
I never got a chance to really ask him for the money back because he basically ignored my phone calls. And the last time I saw him, though, he had told me to come back and that he was going to give me some of the money. And after that, when I had called him back, I basically got ignored.
You mean after you bailed him out, he cut you off?
Basically, yeah.
That's not nice, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, can I say something in my defense
Yeah.
for that? I didn't like the way that she was treating me, like the lifestyle that she wanted to live when I got out of jail. She wanted me to like stop hanging out with my friends that I known like way longer than her. She was real controlling and she was like real possessive and I just didn't want to talk to her anymore. So I just cut her off.
I'm going to say something to you that you've probably heard on a lot of commercials. Stay in school, okay?
Okay.
You need it. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $250. That's all.
Daniel Henoyan says former friend Kaylin Cole owes for a loan to get her car out of impound.
Who is this?
This is my mother, Your Honor.
How old are you?
22.
And you, sir?
35.
You work in the same place of business?
At one time we did, yeah.
And I gather from reading your complaint, sir, that despite the fact that this young lady is much too young for you, you had a little crush on her.
A little bit, yeah. At one time, and then I found out her age.
And you needed some money because your car was an impound. How come you asked the plaintiff for a loan?
Well, I was at work one night and I was frustrated because my car was impounded and he had asked me what was wrong. And I told him...
What was your car doing impounded?
I'm not sure. I think I was, it was a charge. I was arrested and my car was impounded.
What do you mean you're not sure? You think my car was arrested. I was arrested, my car was impounded. What kind of ridiculousness is that? I asked you a question. What was your car doing in impound?
I had been arrested.
There you go. For what?
They thought that my car was stolen, but it wasn't, in fact, and they impounded my car.
Who were you driving with?
A friend.
Male or female?
Male.
Was he arrested too?
No.
Just you?
Yes.
Who was driving?
I was.
How old is your friend?
I think he is 22.
So they found out that your car wasn't stolen?
Yes.
How long was the car in impound?
14 days.
You mean it took the police department 14 days to figure out that it wasn't stolen?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you speeding?
No. A cop had just saw me down the road and pulled me over.
How many children do you have? You have to think about that?
Two by birth, 3. I have a stepson also. She's my oldest.
Is the younger one smarter?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Henoyan gave you money to get your car out of impound, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Mr. Henoyan, now that I've sort of kneaded this case a little bit, I don't like slippery. You agreed to loan her the money.
Yes, I did.
And in exchange, she would allow you to have possession of the car. You didn't have the car at the time for 2 months, and within that 2-month period of time, she would return to you the $535, and you would give her back a car. That was your agreement.
That was the agreement.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you give her the money?
On May 27th.
And when did she let you take the car?
On the same day, well, she drove it at first, but she eventually gave me the car.
And how long did you keep the car?
About 2.5 weeks.
What happened?
Well, one night she asked to borrow it.
What did she say?
She said, I need to go with my friends. She was always with this one crony girlfriend that she'd go and they'd go do an errand. She didn't say where or whatever, but then she came back. She was way late, and I was worried about she was going to take the car. I was trusting her the whole time. I was trusting her. She did bring back the original time. The second time she borrowed the car, she said she was going to pick up her mom from the Greyhound bus depot. Never saw her again after that. Never called, never called. I tried to reach her, and she just denied my calls and cussed me out and stuff like that.
Now, Miss Cole, you say you took the car back because?
I took the car back because Mr. Hanoyan had come over. He would come over like once or twice a week to show me the car, and he, in fact, in the contract said that he would fix the car, any damages, or keep up the oil, keep gas in it, tune up,
which I did.
All kinds. And every time he would come over, in fact, he hadn't gotten an oil change. I told him 3 times to get an oil change. Every time he came over.
You only had the car for a week?
No, he had the car for about a month.
No, that's a lie.
I took the car back about 2 weeks before the end of the contract.
How much money had you paid him?
I paid him about, I'd given him like $20 here, $40 there every time he would come over.
Miss Cole,
probably about half.
Miss Cole, listen to me.
Yes.
You paid him nothing.
That's right.
Because if you had paid him something, you would have said so in your answer. So you paid him nothing.
No, I paid him like $20 here, $40 there every time he came over.
That's what you just said to me. I just told you you were a liar. Because in your answer, big long story, nowhere did it say you gave him any money. You get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if you didn't like the way he was taking care of your car, you had every right to take it back. You still owe him the $535.
He did, in fact, breach his contract. He had told me that he had a driver's license. I actually have a copy.
What does that have to do? Listen to me. Listen to me. You did say, listen to me, madam, mother, the younger one is smarter, right?
Yes.
If you choose to take the car back because he did not have a driver's license, he wasn't taking good care of it, that's fine. You still owe him the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Oh, I understand completely.
Did you try to explain it to her?
Yeah, I tried to explain it to her, but I was never clear on the entire situation. And
now you're clear.
Well, Dan was calling me.
He had the car. Yeah. The car was a mere perk for him. He was to keep the car, but she was to pay him. Keep the car for that 2 months. I was a thank you.
But he was calling me for the money way from the very beginning.
Well, because, listen to me, he shouldn't have called you.
No.
Shouldn't have called you, shouldn't have bothered you. But I want you to understand the agreement that your daughter had, because she's got this vacant look between her ears that frightens me. The car loan was a perk. Allowing him to use the car merely said, thank you for loaning me this money. I will pay you back. The fact that you took the car back because you didn't like the way he was taking care of them, that you don't have to pay him. Oh, I have to go now. Listen to me. If you hang around with babies, that's what's going to happen.
You're right.
She's a baby, not a very smart one. I don't know about you. Doesn't sound like you're very clever either. You get involved with somebody who's 22 years old. Yeah. 22 years old at work doesn't sound too smart.
I made a mistake, that's for sure.
Well, it was a big mistake. Meanwhile, you're entitled to your $535 judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Stacy Crawford says her boyfriend's friend, Scott Endicott, threw gasoline onto a campfire, causing her to be severely burned. Scott claims Stacy is partly to blame.
Ms. Crawford, it's your claim that Mr. Endicott is responsible for you being severely burned. You want him to pay your medical bills that weren't covered by insurance, and in addition, a sum for the pain and suffering that you endured as a result of these burns. Mr. Endicott says that you were burned as a result of your own drunkenness. So tell me when this happened.
August 17th, night of August 17th, was laying next to, we were camping.
Who was camping?
Me, Mr. Endicott, my boyfriend Jeff, his 13-year-old daughter. I mean, there was a group of us and other children.
When had you gone camping?
I had gone August 17th, Friday.
When had you gone camping, Mr. Endicott?
I got there the same day.
And this was a pre-planned weekend, overnight, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you know each other before?
I had been introduced to him for my boyfriend one other time.
You two were friends?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me what happened.
The day was great. We were four-wheeling in the sand. The night started rolling on. Everybody was settling down by the campfire. There was some drinking, and I was only there for the night, so I didn't have a camping chair, so I laid down near the fire to feel the warmth and everything, and then all of a sudden, I went up in flames.
Did you witness what happened?
Yes.
Stand up, sir. Tell me your name.
Jeffrey Ablin.
Tell me what you observed on the 17th. Miss Crawford had fallen asleep around the fire.
Yes, we were.
Were you on a blanket?
No, I wasn't sleeping. I was just laying there.
We were just, everybody was around the fire.
How many people were around the fire?
I would say approximately there had to have been a good 10 people.
Did you know most of them?
Yes, I knew all of them.
Who had made the fire?
All of us together, all the guys went out to the, out onto the beach, and we towed back driftwood.
When you say all the guys, how many guys were there?
I would say there's probably a good 5 or 6 of us that went out there and gathered wood.
Including Mr. Endicott?
Yes.
Yeah. And how long had the fire been burning?
I would say it'd probably been going about 6 hours at least.
So it was late at night?
Yes, it was approximately about midnight, I would say, roughly.
Yeah, but the driftwood that we put on there, that's neglected to tell you, is that it was
You're
wet.
going to have your turn. Go ahead, sir.
So we were all just hanging out by the fire talking, and I didn't actually see Scott throw the gas on the fire, but what I seen was a huge flame and her burst into flames.
After you burst into flames, what happened?
I started rolling. Jeff and a couple of the other guys all kind of jumped on me, pounced out the fire, threw sand on me. They all picked me up at that point, took me to the hospital there in town, the ER. At that point, I was in shock. My skin was sloughing off my legs. I have pictures of that. I don't recall a whole lot after the next 24 hours.
When did you speak to Mr. Endicott?
I actually didn't speak to Mr. Endicott until Wednesday. He came over to my parents' house.
And what day of the week was this?
That's Friday night.
So Wednesday you spoke to Mr. Endicott, and did he call you?
No.
You called him?
No. We were going through Jeff at that point.
You spoke to him?
Yes.
So tell me about the conversation. Did you call him or did he call you?
I seen him face to face.
And tell me about the conversation.
I had asked him if he was going to go to the hospital and see her because she was burned.
That's
And he told
fine.
me he didn't think it was his fault, so that he wasn't going to go there. He was going home.
Did he offer an explanation to you?
Yes, he was throwing fire. He was throwing fuel on the fire to get it going better. And
Is that what he
did not
said to you?
see her. Yes.
Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
Now you can sit down. Now I'll see the pictures. You're a nurse?
CNA, going to school to be a nurse.
So you were not able to work because of the open wounds?
Correct.
Is that right?
I work in a hospital.
Okay. All right, Mr. Endicott, you certainly have seen these photographs?
Nope.
Okay, sir. Let's start on the 17th.
When I got there, there was a small campfire, and everybody was doing their drinking and stuff. And I was going back and forth from that campground to another campground.
When were you going back and forth between the two campgrounds?
Just through the course of the night, because I got there around 7 o'clock, and from 7 to about 10, I was going back and forth, because I had family in another campground. And around 10 o'clock, I came back out there, and that's when everybody decided, I decided to stay out there.
At 10 o'clock?
Yeah, around 10 o'clock, I believe. And me and Jeff and some other people went out and got some more firewood, and we brought it back, and the firewood was damp, and so we had it all stacked up on there. And through the course of the evening, the fire hadn't really started on the wood, and another friend asked if we could pour some gas on the fire. And when I went and got the can, another friend was going to pour it out of a cup, and I just told him I'd pour it out of a can. And
So somebody was going to pour it out of a cup.
Yeah.
What would be the reason for pouring it out of a cup instead of using a can?
I don't know.
Well, try to think.
That's just the way he wanted to do it.
Would it...
No difference.
Don't pick your hand up. I don't need anything from you yet.
I mean, there wouldn't be any difference from pouring it out of a cup out of a can. I mean, the results probably would have been the same.
No, what I'm saying to you is if you're using a cup, I'm not a campfire girl myself. You may not have known that. But those people who know me know I believe in sleeping in a bed with running plumbing. But it would just seem to me that if you used a cup to pour liquid as, you could sort of gauge how much you were actually using, as opposed to using a can where you just go...
Out of the can, it came out of a can out of a hole that big.
I understand that, sir.
So
you decided to use the can?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what did you do?
When I was walking over to pour the gas on the fire, everybody that was awakened by the fire all moved away from the fire. So I thought it was safe to pour gas on the fire. She was on the other side of the fire, and the wood was stacked up pretty high, wearing dark clothes, and nobody could see her.
No, not nobody.
I couldn't see her.
So whose fault is that?
I think it's both of our fault, because...
Don't tell me why you think it's both of your faults. Let us say that I believe you when you say she was, because I read your answer, that she was probably sleeping because she had had too much to drink. Let's say I buy that 100%. Explain to me why that's not your fault.
It is my fault for her getting burnt, but I don't feel financially responsible for it.
Well, why, if it's your fault for her getting burned, why aren't you financially responsible, Mr. Endicott?
Why isn't she responsible for her own actions?
What are her actions that caused her to get burned?
Being inebriated.
Yeah. So were you. So was everybody else that was there. They had been drinking all night. You had been drinking in between two campgrounds. You were all drinking. How does the fact that she was drinking, sleeping, make it her fault? Don't you get that? It's your fault. Let me give you an example, Mr. Endicott, of the lunacy of your position. Okay, sir? Pay careful attention to me. Let's say you're drunk and you get behind the wheel of a car, just like you pick up a can of gas while you're drunk, and you're driving along and you hit somebody who is sitting in their car in a no parking zone. They're sitting in their car, not moving. You're drunk in your car. You plow right into them. You think it's an argument in your defense that they're sitting in a no parking zone?
Not in that situation, but what if
Of course not.
What if she
Of course not, because the fact, sir, that they are sitting in a no parking zone has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you recklessly got behind the wheel of a car while drunk and drove that car into the parked car. Similarly, Mr. Endicott, the fact that you did not secure the area by walking around the perimeter of the fire to make sure nobody was there before you poured gasoline on it is your fault. Not her fault that the wood was piled too high so that you couldn't see over it, or it was dark, or that she chose to wear dark clothing when she was sleeping at the fire so you couldn't see her. If you had walked around the fire, you would have seen her, right?
Yeah.
You didn't. Whose fault is that?
I guess it's mine.
Now we're getting closer to it. If it's your fault that she got burned because you were negligent and careless, you're responsible. Do you understand that? Just say yes, ma'am. Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Mitchell Carson is suing the mother of his child, Michelle Harris, and her husband, Todd Harris, for the return of attorney fees for a failed adoption.
Mr. Carson, you and Mrs. Harris have a child together. How
Correct,
old
ma'am.
is that child?
He's 8 years old, ma'am.
Did you ever live with him?
No.
This is your claim. The mother of your child, Miss Harris, is married to Mr. Harris. They've been married for how long?
3 years, Your Honor.
Do you have any children other than this child?
Yes, 2.
Your former girlfriend, you weren't married, is that right? And you spoke about the possibility of her husband adopting your son. And you thought about it for a while. Ultimately, you agreed that that might be a good idea. And you went ahead and hired a lawyer.
She hired the lawyer. She has to petition the lawyer.
You paid for the lawyer?
I did, because they said that they couldn't afford it.
She subsequently changed her mind.
Correct.
About the adoption, and you want that money back.
Correct.
Why did you change your mind about the adoption?
We never did change our mind, Your Honor. We simply moved out of the area. I had been searching for work for a good 4 years and couldn't find anything but maybe temp work or part-time. We couldn't afford to take care of our children, so we started looking elsewhere for work, and Oregon had a great rate of employment, higher wages, lower cost of living, so we decided to move there and then pursue the adoption when we got settled.
Mr. Carson, when was the last time you saw your son?
I believe it was about 3 years ago.
Why?
We just had such a lack of communication together, and she lived about 100 miles away, and it just made it real difficult for us to communicate together. And that was probably a lot of my fault because I should have remained involved. Okay. But that's why we were, the end result was the adoption.
Mr. Carson, when was the last time you supported your son?
I pay child support every month.
How much do you pay?
I pay $400 a month.
Is he up to date in his child support?
I think he's a little bit behind, but not much.
I believe him when he says he pays child support. So you're not able to use this lawyer?
Correct. What it ended up happening was I paid for the attorney, and then they sent me some documents, which I signed. It was just simple, one form that I had to sign to my release of interest, or whatever you'd like to call it.
Termination of parental rights.
Correct. And then it was on her. And about 6 months later or so, I contacted her attorney, and her attorney had said at that point she hadn't spoken with her, had no contact with her at all, and actually at that moment said, you know, I don't even think she's going to do this. Which is fine. If she doesn't want to do the adoption, I mean, I'm completely capable and okay with paying child support, you know, until he's 18 years old. But when she came to me with the idea of doing the adoption and I agreed to it, I thought in good faith, when she said they couldn't afford it, that I paid for it, that they would go through with it. And then I called her and asked her why she wasn't doing it. It was at that point that she said it was because, you know, financially they couldn't do it.
So they needed your child support to help support the household?
Sure. Correct. And also at that point, I had contacted Michelle to find out what was going on, and then she told me she was moving. According to our document, she has to give me 30 days written notice of moving. I had no idea she was going to move until I contacted her to ask her what was happening.
Well, that may be written into your contract. However, since you haven't seen your son in 3 years, it really doesn't make much difference. Mr. Harris, are you working now?
No, not at the present time.
Are you working now?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
For whom?
I work for a company that deals with clinical technology services for
How much
a
do you
hospital.
earn?
$15.25 an hour, and I support all 5 of us.
No, you don't support all 5 of you. He helps support all. When was the last time your husband worked full-time? And
I would
where?
say it was for a landscaping company in Olympia, and it was a year and a half, 2 years ago.
We're not sure of the exact date.
Well, she says it's a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Well, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Why is that ridiculous?
It's ridiculous not to work when you have 2 children. When did you move?
We moved in March of '06.
So you moved from, just a minute, so you moved from one place where he can't get a job for a year to another place, and now he's still not working.
No,
Doesn't that
no,
clue?
that's not exactly correct. I worked for a company in Portland as a steam cleaner. I did that for 2.5 months. I also worked doing mill shutdowns for a temporary job. It's not like I haven't worked.
So I'm glad you're working. I'm glad everything is wonderful with you. The strong probability exists that they're not going to let you off the hook so fast.
Ma'am, can I add something, please?
Yeah.
The reason why they told me why he's having a hard time finding work and why they couldn't do the adoption is because when they moved to Portland, Michelle told me that he had a warrant out for his arrest. She told me that's what kept us from going into court. Her attorney told me that when they moved to
Just a
Portland...
second. Well, that's very easy to
Am I in
figure
jail?
out. Shh. Turn around. What was the warrant for, Miss Harris? I didn't speak to you. I didn't speak to you. I said, what was the warrant for, Mrs. Harris?
His warrant was for parole violation from 1996.
When did you know about his parole violation?
We didn't know about it until we moved to Oregon. However, we discussed past legal issues with the attorney, and she said that that shouldn't make a difference. Also, just to clarify, we had no agreement with him to pay him back.
Well, but no, just a second. But you had an agreement to pursue the adoption.
Correct.
That's your agreement.
I didn't.
And
You wanted my son.
No, just Mr. Carson. Shh, Mr. Carson.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm just saying, Your Honor, at no time had I talked to Mitch about the adoption.
Then you can sit down. Because you're not working anyway. She's working. She'll pay. Sit down. Sit down. You had an agreement with him that in exchange for giving up his parental rights, your husband would assume the parental responsibility, which includes support. And what happened was it became very secondary in your mind with all the other trouble that you have. You have now 3 children in your house. You're working at $15 an hour. Not great. But you can't do that. If he's giving you the money to pay for the lawyer, which he did, because you agreed to pursue this matter and then change your mind, in my mind, you've breached an agreement with him.
We never made an agreement to...
Just a second. That's why you're here.
We never said we wouldn't do the adoption, Your Honor. Circumstances
Then when you... Listen to me. When you move back to the jurisdiction where he can use the lawyer that he paid for, you could sue him for the money. Right now, you're going to pay for the lawyer. How much was it?
The total amount that we ended up paying the attorney was $1,062, ma'am.
We weren't living off of his child support. We honestly wanted to do the adoption.
Well,
and
listen
when we
to me,
moved,
Miss Harris. You've been married once?
Twice. This is my second marriage.
You weren't married to him so that you had, I would consider, 3 relationships. 2 marriages, 1 relationship. Is that fair? You have 3 children?
Yes.
How old are you?
I am 34.
The likelihood of this man celebrating your 25th wedding anniversary is 0. So that, as far as I'm concerned, it would be very unwise for him to adopt this child. Judge him for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,062.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Harry and Greg Martin are suing their former friend, Darren Trinchero, for the return of money from an insurance settlement. Darren claims the money is his.
Mr. and Mrs. Martin, you purchased an automobile from the defendant, who was a friend of yours. And according to you, the agreement was you would make payments on this car because, I don't know, did you have a loan outstanding on the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the end of, when the loan was satisfied, he would turn the title over to you. You maintained the car, you paid insurance on the car, and then the car was in an accident.
That's correct.
According to you, the defendant told you that he had received a small settlement check for the accident, but you were also injured in that accident.
Yes.
And when you received your settlement, you ascertained that he had received thousands of dollars for the car.
That's correct.
And you feel as if that money should be yours. Mr. Trinchero says he doesn't think so. So I need some information. When did you purchase this car, Mr. Trinchero?
Back in '04, and I do have a copy of that document.
I'd like to see it, please.
There you go.
You purchased this car September 14th, 2004.
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid $6,500.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you purchase the car from Mr. Trinchero?
In March 2005.
When in March?
March 3rd.
So, Mr. Trinchero, you had the car for 5 months.
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the payments?
$249.09.
And I have to add in your down payment, which was $1,500. So your entire investment in this car, Mr. Trinchero, was $2,745.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Now, you took over these payments in March of 2005.
That's correct.
And when was the car totaled?
November 13th, 2006.
And you were paying $249.09.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's figure that out. You see where I'm going, Mr. Trinchero?
Yes, ma'am.
So they invested in the car $5,229.
Right.
Now, how much of a check did you get for the car, sir, when the car was totaled?
The value of the car check was $4,900, which I have a copy of here.
Let me see it.
There you go.
Your Honor?
Shh, just a minute. $4,549.
Right. Yes,
What'd you
ma'am.
get this for?
That was for the balance of the car that was worth, because I was the lien holder on the car, the owner of the car.
Why should you get all this money?
Because during the agreement, back on 03 of 04, there were many stipulations to the contract, such as carrying insurance on the vehicle, also notifying me of any address changes that they had or anything.
Oh, stop it. You're being a big baby and you're nitpicking, Mr. Trinchero. Mr. Trinchero, let me ask you this question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
If they finished paying off the car in 3 months and it hadn't been in an accident, would they have gotten the title?
Not if they would not have carried full coverage insurance like our
What
contract
difference
said.
would it have made?
Because I accepted liability for the car.
Just a second. Mr. Trinchero, did you pay for the insurance?
Yes, I did. I carried it till 2006, which was not part of our
Just
agreement.
a second. You paid for the insurance
Right.
until when?
From the beginning of the contract until 3/3 of 06.
3/3 of 06. The car was in an accident in November of 06.
Right, I had coverage on the vehicle at the time.
You just told me that you had coverage in the vehicle until March of 06.
Right, 3/3 of 06 was my
Well,
coverage.
March would be the 3rd month of
Yes,
the year,
ma'am.
sir.
Uh-huh.
The accident happened in November.
Right.
Your Honor, at the first 6 months that we had the car, that we were paying him an additional $50 a month to keep us on his policy.
Can I see that, please?
Well, this here is just the copies of the.
I just want to see any checks that are above. I'm speaking. The 249.09.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I interject something there, please?
Listen, Mr. Trinchero, you're a hustler, and you did the wrong thing. And what you're supposed to do, since you got your finger caught in this miserable pot, you're supposed to say, you know what, let's see if we can find some median. I shouldn't get a windfall over and above what I paid for a 10-year-old car.
Well,
right? Hey, pay attention.
Right.
I shouldn't get a windfall because a car doesn't appreciate in value. A car loses value.
Right.
So you put in $2,700. You got twice as much as you put in, and you're not entitled to it. You're here in a court of equity, sir.
Right.
And if you only put in $2,700, unless this car was a mint Ferrari, you're not entitled to make money on it. Do I make myself clear?
Right. I'm not trying to make money.
You are trying to make money on it because your whole investment was $2,745.
I believe I assumed liability for this vehicle, and I lost something because of that. And
Well, you
my
think wrong. Hey, Mr. Trinchero, you think wrong.
Okay.
You may have rationalized your bad behavior and your dishonesty with these people in your own mind because you laid there and you said, well, now they sent me a check because I'm on the title to the car. How do I justify not giving them at least some of this money? Well, let me see. They let Homer drive the car twice, and they weren't supposed to do that. They were supposed to keep the car in insurance and not take it out of the state. And I know they went on vacation once, and they took the car to Florida. Hey, I'm speaking. That's what you did. You laid in bed and tried to figure out how you could justify being dishonest. And that doesn't fly here. You don't justify being dishonest when you come into a court of equity, Mr. Trinchero. Right. It's dishonest, and it was the wrong thing to do. What you should have done is said, listen, we got this money. You invested $52.29 in the car. I invested $27.45. The whole idea was for me to get off the hook paying for the car because I didn't want this car anymore after 5 months. You did.
Yep.
Because
That's not correct.
if I, hey, listen.
Not correct.
If you didn't want to sell it to them, you wouldn't have sold it to them. Did you get another car, Mr. Trinchero?
I had another car before I sold it to them. And I had no use for this, and Greg had no car. Being a friend of his, I felt that it would be an equitable thing to do that. But he did not fulfill his end of the bargain in the contract, which I thought was legal.
You purchased a brand new car. Hey!
I thought this was a legal contract, and it was violated many times.
Then what you have to do if it was violated many times is take the car back.
Exactly.
Shut up.
And we did try to do that several times.
Which you did not do.
We took many actions to do that.
No, I didn't say did you take many actions, Mr. Trinchero. Did you take the car back?
We could not locate them.
Oh, you're so full of baloney, sir. You could locate them when you got the check. That you managed to locate them. When they got the check, you managed to locate them.
First.
Very, very bad, sir. I don't know how you sleep with yourself at night. I wouldn't want you to be my friend.
I don't see where he's entitled to any amount of the check from the insurance company that mailed him that check.
He's not.
Okay.
If he had been what we call a mensch, that means a good person, a good, honorable person, you probably would have sat down and said, listen, you got a little extra money. I'm going to get a little extra money because I put in $5,200, but I drove the car. I mean, you don't expect to get 100% value on your car if something happens. You might have made some kind of an accommodation. But since he was a pig, he loses everything. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $42.74. That's all.
Janet Aldoff is suing the father of her son's schoolmate, Mark Witt, for the cost to fix her boy's saxophone. Janet claims Mark's son, 13-year-old Brian, smashed it.
Aldoff, it is your claim that the defendant's son, this little boy right over here, is responsible for breaking your son's saxophone at school. Mr. Witt's son says that your son started the problem. He was first bullying him, and then he took property from him, a comic book, and threw it to the ground, which caused him to take a bag containing this saxophone and throwing it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you all have a seat? Tell me your first name.
Daniel.
Brian.
How old are you, Daniel?
13.
How old are you, Brian?
12.
Stand up by on your own 2 feet and put your hands down at your sides. Don't lean on the table. Daniel, in the past 3 years, how many times has your mother had to come to school because you've had disciplinary problems?
None, ma'am.
Brian, in the last 3 years, how many times have your parents come to school because of disciplinary problems?
3.
How do you think I knew that? You think I'm psychic?
I know you're not, ma'am.
But I knew that.
Yes.
I knew. He's cute. He's trouble. Got to look at his face. How many children do you have, sir?
2, ma'am.
I got a few more. I know the face. I know the look. It's got attitude, which is a good thing, but it's got to be channeled. That's what I'm here to do, Brian.
Yes,
Channel your attitude. All right. Tell me, when did this happen in school?
Before school started.
Tell me what happened, please, and keep your voice up.
Yes, ma'am. We were standing outside.
Who's we?
Me, Brian, and 2 other boys.
Friends of all of yours?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, and we were all standing around my saxophone, and I made a comment, and I said, why are we all standing around my saxophone? Are we going to praise it? And we all started laughing, and one of the other boys started making these unfunny jokes, and Brian picked up my saxophone and threw it against the ground.
Now, was the saxophone in a bag?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Brian say anything to you when he did that?
He said, oops, in a sarcastic tone and started laughing.
You had to use the saxophone subsequently that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened?
I tried to play, and only 3 of the notes I could play would come out.
Did you have it fixed?
No, ma'am.
So it's still broken?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Brian. Remembering that I know everything.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me your version of what happened on March 14th.
We had just arrived at school, and I went over to Danny and our friends, and he started making comments about me.
Who started?
Danny or one of his friends.
So either Daniel or one of his friends started making comments about you. Like what?
They had made fun of... I don't really remember.
So what happened next?
I'd gotten mad, and he threatened to throw my book.
Who threatened to throw your book?
Danny.
What did he say to you?
He had said something about my mom or a family member.
He did, or his friend?
He did, I believe.
You get over with this kind of stuff with your father? You don't get over it with me. Where was your book?
It was beside my book bag on the ground.
On the book bag? And this is a story you told your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do?
I had gotten really mad, and I picked up his saxophone bag. I didn't even know there was one in it.
What did you think was in it? His lunch? Huh? What did you think was in the bag, the instrument? What did you think it was?
Gym clothes or books.
Go ahead.
I picked it up and slung it up against the wall.
All right. Mr. Witt, would you stand up? How much did you pay for the saxophone in the pawn shop, Miss Adolph?
It was around $300.
Did you get an estimate on fixing it?
Yes, I have an estimate, Your Honor.
Can I see it, please?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Witt, you want to say anything to me?
Yes, ma'am. I don't think my son was right on what he did.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear. And you also don't think that he told me the truth, do you? And that he didn't tell you the truth either. Because I read your answer, I read his statement, and nowhere was the word "I believe" in there. Somebody said something to me, it was Danny or one of his friends. Well, who said something about your family? Him, you sure? No, it could have been somebody else. Did he tell that to you? Or did he tell you when he came home, but the explanation that he gave you was that this young boy was teasing him, he was bullying him because he's taller than he is, and that's what started this? That's what he told you, because that's what you wrote.
And I didn't pay any attention to that.
Oh, great. Mr. Witt, perfect. Don't pay any attention to it, because you know why? Because it's not true.
It didn't matter. It wouldn't be a good excuse to break somebody's things anyway.
I know, but the most important thing is this young man thinks that he can get over. And that's a real problem, because he's 12. And if he thinks that he can get over when he's 12, and you had to go to school at least 3 times with him for disciplinary problems, after the first time it would have been too many. So you look like a very nice man, and you look like the kind of man who accepts responsibility. And you said even if he was picking on him and threw his comic book to the ground, it was no excuse for breaking his instrument. All perfect, responsible, reasonable things. The only thing is you've got to infuse that to him, because he's getting too old. He can't get away with cute anymore. You understand me, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. You have brothers and sisters at home?
1 sister.
How old?
9.
So you're the example?
Yes, ma'am.
And your father works?
He's retired military.
Your mother works?
Yes.
So your father worked his whole life, your mother works, they provide for you, they provide a home for you, they put food on the table, they take care of you. You know what your responsibility is?
School.
Your responsibility is to grow up to be a nice human being.
Yes, ma'am.
And a responsible human being, and a trustworthy human being, and a human being that tells the truth all the time. Mr. Witt, your defense is, according to your son, he was being bullied, which we both know is not true, and B, that they were asking for too much for the saxophone.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to hear the second part, that they were asking too much for the repair of the saxophone.
Well, I got a copy of the estimate.
I'd like to see a copy of the estimate. It's exactly what I have.
Yes, ma'am. I believe some of the items on there are maintenance problems that have nothing to do with them.
Major belly and body damage, $120. Bent keys and rods, $150. Repair part, $44. What's out of line to you? Absolutely nothing. So, okay. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $351.22. Remember what I said to you, sir? If you listen to any part of what I said to you, believe me, your life will be much happier. That's all.
Beverly Roscoe claims her husband's ex-wife, Deborah Roscoe, harasses her constantly. Deborah is accusing Beverly of harassing her.
Mrs. Roscoe, the defendant is your husband's former wife. This
Right.
is your husband, I assume?
Yes.
And these are your two stepsons?
Yes.
Your two sons?
Right.
And your two sons?
Right.
When were you divorced?
92.
And for how long did the boys live with their father?
They never have.
Never.
Until one of them was kidnapped.
My question to you is, during what times did the boys live with their father?
The youngest one has never lived with him. The oldest one went there for a Thanksgiving vacation and never came back. In,
What year?
98.
Who's the older? You went to live with your father in when, sir?
2006.
So you lived there for 8 years?
Yes.
Did you see your brother
No.
while you lived there?
No.
It is your claim, Miss Roscoe, that your husband's former wife, the first Mrs. Roscoe, I assume the first.
She's the second.
The second Mrs. Roscoe. You are the third Mrs. Roscoe.
I'm the fourth.
You're the fourth Mrs. Roscoe.
Yes.
He's got something.
You're the fifth.
Well,
Elusive, but he has something.
No.
Has been harassing you.
Right. I need to clarify.
Go ahead.
What they said. First of all, Sean did not live with Bob until 2006 because he moved into my house in 2004 because he had nowhere else to go.
Is that right? You were with your stepmother?
No, I stayed with friends mainly because of I did not.
I didn't ask you for any other reason. Your complaint is that she harasses you.
Yes.
You want her to stop. She says
Right.
she doesn't harass you, you harass her. You want to know who's harassed?
The kids.
Me.
Oh. That's true.
So, Mrs. Roscoe, the fourth Mrs. Roscoe, that would be you.
Yes.
You have 5 minutes to tell me how she's harassing you
Okay.
legally.
All right, it started in 2004 when Sean moved into my house. Bob did not live there. Sean did. He had nowhere else to go, so I let him stay with me. She found out how old I was, and it started from that point on. I have always been mistress, lot lizard, what else? All
Don't
kinds of
ask
stuff.
her.
Okay. I have emails. I have certified letters. She sent the same letter 3 times, 2 by certified mail, 1 regular mail, after she paid to get our address. This is the certified letter that she sent. And I have the email where she stated she would pay $50 to get our address again after she had contacted my ex-husband and his family members through Christmas and New Year's every year for 2 years.
I'm not interested in your ex-husband and his family. You're suing her.
Right, but she's trying to get our address. They
Listen
don't give
to
it,
me.
so she buys it. So
She got your
sent the
address.
email she would pay
She
for
got
it.
your address. So
Right, but
let's go.
for
What
what
is the other
purpose?
harassment? Let's go. Go. You have 5 minutes
okay.
of moving.
All right, I'm trying. She says that the kids are not allowed to talk to their dad yet. They have an address, they have email addresses, and a phone number where they can contact him.
I haven't heard anything yet, madam, that amounts to legal harassment.
Okay.
Keep going.
Threatening to have my kids taken away from me. I live in
Just a
every
second.
day.
Just a second. Show me where she threatened to have your children
Okay.
taken away from you.
All right. In here, you'll see several references to where she's talked to my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, and she's surprised that they allow me to keep the kids there. She has made contact with them and tried to...
So what? Who cares?
I mean, there's no reason for her to bring me into her and Bob's business. Those are their kids. It was his support.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Miss Roscoe. There's no reason for her to get involved with you and your children and your former in-laws or anybody else. That's not legally actionable. It's just bad behavior. I'm waiting for something legally actionable. Like somebody calling you 150 times a day.
Well, we've had...
Like somebody posting things about you on the internet, defamatory statements, like somebody parking themselves outside your home with a constant surveillance of your home and police reports to follow that up.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying to
Yes,
you?
I
So
do.
far, I see annoying. So far, I don't see legal.
Okay, here's where she states about my kids, give it time, I may not have them at all. This has been going on for years.
Miss Roscoe, just because you say it's been going on for years doesn't mean it's been going on for years.
Okay, well, I've highlighted the majority of the parts. Right here, teach your children well for as long as you have them. It's not so much...
Just a second.
Okay.
Have you ever told the truth? You lie almost as well as your boyfriend. You can't beat him, he's the best. But you come to a close second. Who wrote that?
That's her.
And then teach your children well for as long as you have them. Well, that's a good idea. Teach your children well for as long as you have them, because you won't have them forever. You could have gotten rid of me by having my son call, but that would have been too easy.
Her son was 21 years old and had known her number for years. He did not even live in my house. He lived with his girlfriend where he had a restraining order put on him.
Do you answer these messages?
I used to. I deleted that name so she wouldn't have it anymore.
So you answered her?
Sometimes, yeah, when I took all I could take. Yeah.
All
and
right,
I called
so
the police. And
keep going. Your 5 minutes are almost
okay.
up.
Every time Bob would send her an email about the interest on the child support that she got or anything, she would answer it to me.
So what?
Well, she has a history of harassing him and being mean and violent. This is a letter from her
Did you ever
own.
file a police report?
I tried.
What do you mean you tried? What does that mean, you tried?
Because they said it would be civil. They could not do anything criminally unless I could prove something civilly. So that's why
No, that's not true. That's a lot of baloney. They could not do something criminally unless you could prove something civilly? It's ridiculous. All right, let's hear about her harassment of you.
Okay. That would probably be the better way to start.
Go ahead.
It began between 99 and 2000. She started contacting my youngest son in Washington over the internet, and when I finally seen Berry Joe 99 come popping up a lot of times, I finally asked my son, I says, who is this Berry Joe? Well, that's Dad's girlfriend. And I said, no, it can't be Dad's girlfriend, because all that's Dad's girlfriend. What's she want? She wants me to go to the airport, and she'll send me a ticket, and I can go to Ohio. I said, oh, no, you're not going to Ohio. I said, I lost one son that went there for a Thanksgiving and was refused to be sent home. I said, you're not going. She continued to write, and he got to the point where he got belligerent with her. So then all of a sudden, she wasn't nice to him no more. He was going to be put into the mental institute, and that started things.
You complain that she's harassed you. You have 5 minutes to tell me how.
I have blocked her from her name from my addresses, my emails, my IMs. She now goes under my ex-husband's IMs. She posted my social security number over the internet January 29th of 2006.
Why did you do that?
During those messages that you have right there, the way she was carrying on about how she was going to come and sit in my driveway and how she was going to stay at my ex-in-laws and stuff until she could get to me the next day and stuff. Yes, I did, just to shut her up, and it worked.
So you posted her social security number?
I called the cops. They wouldn't do anything about it. So and it wasn't
You deserve
posted.
each other.
It wasn't posted.
You absolutely deserve each other. Listen to me. Sounds to me like you two women deserve each other.
No, she just needs to leave my sons and I alone.
Listen to me. Madam, you have choices in this life. If what you're going to do is make a mission out of making each other's lives miserable, because somebody's got to start the text message and somebody's got to finish it. Right now, there is absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other. You have grown children. If they want to see their father, they will contact him. If they want to speak to him, they will contact you. They're big boys. So these two women have absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other. Is that right?
That's true.
Right.
Ma'am, I've got some more
Listen
evidence.
to me. Well, get to it, because now you have 2 minutes.
I've got some recordings I'd like you to listen to.
I am absolutely going to listen to recordings if you have them.
How did you work this? These are just a couple of the messages that come over my telephone.
You know my name. You ain't called me back within 5 minutes. I'm going to go find your little boy. And by the time I'm done with him, he will need you. But he won't be leaving Ohio for a while because he'll be in the hospital.
That was him.
That was
Yes, ma'am, that was me. Yes.
Calm down.
I would like to think that you're grown up enough to want to get some sort of help for your son, who you have no idea what has become in 7 years. As a matter of fact, it was he who pushed me, and I refused to have the cops take him. Nobody called the cops on him. He walked out in front of a cop car and almost got hit, and they were going to arrest him for the way he was yelling and carrying on, and I told them just to let him get his stuff and leave. Now, if you think you can grow up and act like a 50-year-old mother, you can call me back and I will explain to you what happened. If you want to sit there and listen to his little pouty story that's all full, you go right ahead. But all you and Josh are doing is bob off to a point where the only person going to pay for you two sitting there acting like idiots is Sean. So if you think you can grow up and call me back, I'll be here for a
Nothing wrong with that message.
They get better.
She shut up. Listen to me. I didn't ask you for anything.
Okay. Wonderful mother that you portray yourself as. You would personally give it what's going on in your kid's life. But since you don't, that's fine. I will make sure he gets a ride back to Washington. You can either call me back and be mature, or I'll send him back via the Knox County Sheriff's Department. That's your choice.
Now, who's harassing who?
Just a sec. Shh. Quiet.
All I'm going to say is you better make sure you got permission from his probation officer to take him out of the state, because she will know tomorrow that you did. You can either grow up and talk to me like a woman and quit calling Bob's cell phone like some tramp in heat, or I will file charges on you like they told me I could. And as for Sean, you're really teaching him a lot of responsibility to have him up and walk off of a job that he had for less than a month. Yeah, you're teaching him a lot, Deb.
Tired of him yet?
I haven't heard anything that's legally actionable, madam. Nothing.
No, it's just showing that who is calling who.
Listen to me. You text her, you write to her. She has. Listen,
go ahead and write
she
that.
had evidently, Mrs. Roscoe, she had your son at some point living in her home, this one, and there was clearly some difficulty with him in the home. I don't plan on getting into what it was because, quite frankly, I don't care. It has absolutely nothing to do with this lawsuit. All I have to tell you is people behaving badly does not create a lawsuit. Just listen to me very carefully. Mr. Wonderful over here got married 4 times. You have a short attention span, Mr. Roscoe. In any event, what the 2 wives have done is they've made their lives miserable, at least currently, with calling and writing and texting and whatever. It's time to say enough. Because these 2, whether they're good kids, whether they're not good kids, whether they're difficult, whether they're problems, right now, how old are you?
22.
And you?
20.
All grown up. It takes 2 to make an argument. 2. Right now, you have no reason to have any communication with each other. Do you speak to your sons?
I haven't since September.
That's their prerogative, sir. If for some reason they don't want to talk to you, that's it. But it has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with their mother, because they're big boys. And if they wanted to talk to you, they would. So I don't see any reason for you to have any further contact with each other. Why don't you both consent to an order that prohibits any contact whatsoever, either by mail, by telephone, by text message, by any form of communication that we know of in modern electronics?
I had reported her to her work to get her to quit.
Your case is dismissed, madam. You have no case. I mean, I ask you a question, you go back into history. I asked you, are you prepared to enter into an order that says, I will have no contact with the second Mrs. Roscoe, either in person, by mail, by telephone, telegraph, pigeon, or whatever.
I've tried to obtain
Are you prepared to enter into such an order?
You bet you, ma'am.
Very good. I'll have somebody prepare it back there. Thank you very much. That's all.
Tina Corville is suing her estranged daughter-in-law, Jennifer Corville, for an unpaid loan and car insurance payments. Jennifer says Tina's son is a deadbeat.
This is the son?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law. It is your claim that while she and your son were living in your home, you made a series of loans to her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Corville says that you made gifts to her because she was the only one working in her family. Your son wasn't working, so she needed some car payments made in order to get her back and forth to work, and some insurance payments made on the car. I have a few questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm unemployed at the moment.
How long have you been unemployed?
For not that long, because I had a job January 1st whenever I had put her out.
Listen to me. Listen to me. How long have you been unemployed?
Since January 1st.
Of 2007?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to January 1st, 2007, your mother says that you weren't working a good part of the time.
ma'am.
That's what your mother says.
Yes,
Is she
ma'am,
lying?
That's true. No, ma'am, that's true.
How long did you have the January job?
Not long, because I didn't even
Just
go
don't
off-
tell me because.
No, ma'am, I hadn't gone offshore. It was an offshore job, and I didn't have a ride to go offshore. That's why I didn't have that job. I hadn't
So
even
you
worked
didn't
one
have
day.
a job?
I had the job. I got hired.
When was the
took-
last time that you got a paycheck, Mr.
I
Corville?
didn't get a paycheck from them because I never worked one day
Mr.
because
Corville,
I
I
didn't have
want
a
you to
ride.
listen to, put on your listening ear, sir.
Okay.
When was the last time, month and year, that you had a paycheck? Think hard.
2006, and I can't give you the exact month.
Well, give me close to the
Okay.
exact month.
About the 10th month, or maybe even the 9th.
What would that be, the 9th month?
The 9th month
Yeah.
is September. Took me a while.
Good. September. Now, in August, who did you work for?
Pizza Hut,
Doing what?
delivery driver.
How long did that last?
Not long,
Why?
because I was told I couldn't use the car to do it no more. I was putting wear and tear on our car.
Your Honor, that was our car at the time. I was a manager at Pizza Hut.
Listen, you know what kind of sympathy I have for you? Zero. You picked him. And not only did you pick him, but you picked him, and you have a child.
Not with me.
I know that.
Okay. I was just clarifying it.
You know, put your hand down. Sometimes it's better to be alone. Sometimes the loneliest you can be is when you're with somebody.
Yep.
Your son, who is without a job, moves in with you, with his wife and her child.
Yes, ma'am.
How old was he when he left home?
He's been in and out of home since he's 12 years old.
In and out of your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how did you feel about it when he told you he was getting married?
Didn't know the girl long enough.
But she has a job, right?
Yeah, at the time she did have a job, yes, ma'am.
Now, your son had no job at the time.
At the time? Yeah.
At the time?
At the time he did have a job.
Doing what?
He did sheet metal.
What happened to that job?
He had differences with the guy.
Yeah, the guy fired me because I asked for a raise.
And what did he say when you asked him for a raise?
He told me he didn't feel that I deserved it, and if I felt like I really needed it, I could go look for a job elsewhere because I no longer had one with him.
No, that's not what he said.
Yes,
He
ma'am.
said, I don't feel as if you deserve it. If you feel as if you deserve more, go elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he didn't say that you can't have a job with him. He said, go elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you went, where'd you go?
To Pizza Hut.
Was that paying more than your sheet metal job?
Yes, ma'am.
Nah.
With the tips, yes,
No.
ma'am. Okay.
Now, tell me about this first loan. After they got married, they moved in with you because he's not working, right?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Were they paying rent in your house?
Not at the beginning, no.
Were they paying rent later?
When the second go around, they were going to pay rent. They moved in twice last year.
Fine. Well, the second time they moved in, did they pay rent?
1 month.
How much?
$150.
And who paid the rent?
My son.
What was he doing?
He was working for
Trim.
Newcom.
Yeah.
What happened to that job?
We had went and we had a court date for me and her both to attend to, and we asked the
What kind of court
instructor-
date?
I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
You had a court date and you don't remember?
Yes,
What kind of
ma'am.
court date did you have?
It was actually court for his paternity test.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing to do with me.
But
For
we
a paternity,
left.
quiet. For a paternity test for what?
His second child.
He has children?
Yes, ma'am.
Wunderbar.
He has two, one for two different women.
Now, how much money in total did you give Miss Corville?
$958.
Tell me what it was for.
In January.
January of what?
Of 2006. She bought a car with her income tax. Didn't have money for the insurance, so I loaned her $200.
Just a second. Tell me about what she didn't have money for the insurance, and she said to you
she would pay me back.
Did you have that discussion with her or with your son?
With her.
Tell me about the discussion.
She said that she would help us, give us the money because of the fact he was out of work, and she didn't want to see us without a car because if we didn't have a car, we were unable to work.
Was he
And as she
working?
said-
Was he working at the time?
No, ma'am.
Did you subsequently get a job, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you did. Good. Where did you get a job?
That's whenever I went to the electrical company.
And how did you get to the electrical company?
She had brought me a few occasions.
Who did?
Miss Jennifer.
Your wife?
My wife, yes, ma'am.
What's next?
In May, she called me at work crying because she had a payday loan that she had taken before they were married, crying because she was going to get arrested. Could she please borrow some money?
Is that right?
It is.
Good. How much was that?
$305.
80.
That you owe her. Go ahead.
Then in September the 19th, ABC insurance canceled, so they had to find new insurance.
They had to find new insurance?
She had to find new insurance.
Where were you working? You told me you were working in September, sir.
Yes, ma'am. That's whenever we were both working at Newcom.
Oh, okay, so you were both working?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were using her car to get there?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, good. Perfect.
So I paid her down payment for $155.
That's
for
fine.
the Geico.
That ensures that your son is working.
She was short $100 because they both lost their jobs. She was short $100, so to keep her car, I put the $100 difference in pay that she would pay me back when she'd find another job.
Why'd you get him to pay you some money?
It wasn't his car.
He was using it. They were a married couple.
No,
listen. Miss Corville,
I had lost
your son
3
put her
jobs.
out of the house when?
January 1st, 2007. Why? Because
What was my question?
I couldn't use the car to go find a job, nothing. She had stopped letting me use the car, everything. That was her
Really?
car.
And you had been using the car to go and look for a job?
No, ma'am.
Well, you said
hadn't
she
let me.
stopped.
Yeah,
letting you
like
use
she
the-
hadn't let me. And within 3 months since we had been back over there, I had got a job and went to Houma. That was the only time.
So that's why you threw her out?
Yes, ma'am, because I was supposed to be leaving to go offshore and she wouldn't bring me.
Go ahead.
He didn't get a job in Houma. He actually went to Houma to get a job. He failed his drug test, and he was unable to work offshore. So he actually didn't
What
work.
kind of drugs were you taking that you failed the drug test?
None.
You mean that the test was a mistake?
No, ma'am, I was going offshore.
So you didn't fail the drug
No,
test?
ma'am.
Would you like to take one today?
Doesn't matter.
She owes you for the payday loan. That she owes you for. For the car, consider it a contribution to your son. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Judge 30580. That's all. Thank you very much.
Audrey Decker says her ex-roommates Trista Gray and Mark Robertson owe for bills and a rental deposit. Audrey also claims the couple falsely accused her of smoking pot.
Miss Decker, you and the defendants were roommates in an apartment or a house?
Correct. It was a 2-bedroom apartment above the downtown plaza.
And you met each other at work?
Yes, we did. We
that's all.
We're co-workers.
Sure. Signed the lease when?
On August 21st of last year. I have that with me if you'd like to see it.
Okay, and when did you move out?
It was January.
January what?
9th.
And you claim they moved out owing you money?
Yes, they did.
There's lots of other things that you're claiming, some of which is nonsense, but you claim that they owe you some money. One of the things that they owe you money for is that they had not paid their entire security deposit.
They had not paid the deposit.
Just answer my question.
Yes, they had not.
They had
paid
not
the part.
paid the entire security deposit. You paid it. They were supposed to pay you back, and there was some money outstanding.
Correct.
When they moved out on January 9th, 2008, in what condition was the apartment?
There were some burn marks in the carpet in the bedroom that they were in. There's nail holes, things that weren't there before.
Okay. Do you have photographs of the burns on the carpet?
No, I do not.
Were there burns on the carpet?
There might have been. We did smoke in the bedroom, yes.
Okay. Because if there was no damage to the apartment, then of course I would say to the plaintiff, you're going to get the security deposit back, so they don't have to pay you any more security deposit. But if there was damage that you did to the apartment, then you have to pay your half of the security deposit, because in all probability the landlord is going to make her replace the carpet and charge her. Is that reasonable?
It is, but we don't believe we owe her anything because we have overpaid her on deposit.
Show me.
We don't have any proof of it, but we overpaid her over the deposit. We do believe we have.
Well, show me. What do you mean we believe?
We don't have
What
any-
did you poke him for? You want him to say something?
We don't have any proof because we did pay her. We believe we did.
How much did they pay you in the security?
They paid me $360. The arrangement was I
How
paid
much was the
$500.
security deposit? Let's do
The
this.
$300 was what I put down that day for the deposit.
In total?
In total.
So they owed you $150?
No, the way it was we had our bills split 3 ways. Deb Schultz is a witness to that, that we agreed to split all bills, including electric, cable, deposit, rent, everything.
3, that they owed you $600? I want to know how much they owed initially for the security deposit, Miss Decker.
They owed $200 initially, but they did not have money at the time.
I understand
so
that.
I paid it all.
I understand that.
Okay.
How much did they give you towards the $200 in security deposit that they owed?
They gave me $360. They paid my part of the rent for September, October, November, and December, which was $90. And they also were paying me back for the $200 that I put down in the beginning to help buy food and everything because they, once again, didn't have any. So the total was $500. They paid $360 out of that by paying the rent.
So according to you, they owe $140 in security deposit?
Right. That's what they have left over from that particular amount, right.
What else do you think they owe you for?
They owe me for the cable and electric for the time when they were there from November to December because we had backed bills.
Just 1 second. They left January 9th. Did they pay January's rent?
They paid January's rent, correct.
Good, okay, because they should have paid January's rent because they were there until the 9th, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Why did you move out?
We couldn't handle her anymore. She became overpowering.
Okay, so there was a problem.
Correct.
You have bills showing that there were balances as of December 31st on any of the utilities?
I do.
Show me.
That's electric. This is cable. I have the amounts highlighted that I paid, and this is the receipt for the electric that I paid my share of. All that's left is what they have to pay.
When was the last time you paid utilities?
I paid utilities last
No,
month.
I'm talking to you.
Oh.
We didn't pay them.
No. You're showing me a bill from January 12th, 08 to February 11th, 08. They weren't living there then.
That's what was due before.
Oh, balance brought forward $62.
Uh-huh.
62. So they owe $40.
No, the whole balance, the 164, is what was owed from the months before.
No,
It
that's
was
not true.
The $150 is what we
That's not
ultimately paid.
true. Not according to this. According to this, payments received was $150.
$150 was what was paid. $62.19 was what was left over as a back balance.
$62.19 was what was left over from that bill. The other money is for the current service, which was from January 12th, 08 until February 11th, 08. I can read a bill.
Okay. Well.
So they owe $40 on this. Okay. The City of Fairmount Public Utilities was $364.
Correct.
And they're supposed to pay 2/3 of that.
Right.
Okay, so they owe you $280 in utilities and $140 for their security deposit. And what else do you think that they owe you for?
For slander.
Go ahead.
They told my boyfriend's mom here, Deb Schultz, that I was smoking marijuana, and that led to a lot of tension between him and I. We actually almost broke up over it because he disagrees with it along with drinking.
Did you tell this lady that she was smoking marijuana?
No, we did not. We do not have her number in any way. We don't have any problem with Deb Schultz in any way. She has been very helpful with the apartment in the beginning. Like I said, we do not have her phone number.
Your last name is?
Schultz.
You are the mother of the
her
boyfriend.
Yes.
Go ahead. Well, who called you?
I ran into them.
Oh, so nobody called?
No. I ran into them. They
When?
told me in December sometime.
Okay.
And they told me that Audrey was using drugs. So my
Did
son,
you ask what kind?
Yes, and she told me it was marijuana. And my son is really against girlfriends using any kind of drugs or
Okay,
alcohol.
so now she says it wasn't by phone, it was when you ran into each other. Did that happen?
I do not recall that.
Well, she does. Why would she lie about that?
I don't know, but I do not recall that.
Did she use marijuana while you were living together?
Yes, she did.
When?
Well, we were at a friend's house, and I was in the bedroom with my friend, with her daughter, watching a movie, and she was in there with my friend's boyfriend and Mark, and they were having a conversation about using marijuana, and Mark overheard it.
Overheard what?
Overheard the conversation about them using drugs. And Audrey had asked Mark not to tell me. On the way home, he told me.
What did you overhear, sir?
They were talking about hiding it, not letting me see it, but then giving it to my friend's boyfriend. And
But in all the time that you lived together with the plaintiff, she never smoked marijuana in your presence.
No.
What are you poking him for?
I didn't.
not to my knowledge, but
Well, you would not to your knowledge. You have eyes.
she would hide it. She would go out with friends, and
Don't tell me what she would hide it, sir. I'm asking you a very simple question. You never saw her smoke marijuana while she was in your presence.
no, ma'am.
Did you?
No.
First of all, they don't always get things right when they hear things. Is this your boyfriend?
Yes.
Step away from her for a second. That's fine. Have you ever said something to him and then a week later you say, don't you remember I told you that? And he says, you never said that to me. You told me this. So you never said that to you? That never happened?
Sometimes it happens.
Oh,
but
listen.
more than likely he pays attention because...
But I'm just asking you. Never said to you, you didn't say that? That's not what I heard. I don't remember you telling me we had this date. I don't remember you telling me your mother was coming over. I don't remember you telling me we're going out with your sister. None of that. No. It'll happen. They don't always get it right. And to have relied on that statement to make that statement to her boyfriend's mother was probably not good judgment.
Well, he wouldn't lie to me about marijuana because he knows my stance on it. He knows I disagree with it.
Well, and if you said to me that I saw her smoking marijuana I smelled it in the house, that's another story. But for all you know, she could be puffing and she could be showing off for a friend. You don't know that that's true. You lived together for 5 months and you never saw any evidence of it in your home. Saw, smelled, felt, right?
Correct.
So you probably should have kept your nose in your own business.
But we did have a conversation about her drug usage a while after that night at my friend's house, and she had admitted to doing it.
What did she say to you?
And she said she was going to continue doing it because she liked it. And I told her I do not agree with it.
Fine, you can have to agree with it. You're not her moral police. As long as she's not doing it in your home. It's not your business, but that's not slander.
No, what happened was...
It's not slander.
Okay. Well, I was talking about a different incident. There's
don't-
something also very different that happened with work.
Do you have witnesses from work?
I do not have witnesses from work, but I do have my suspension paper. I got suspended because they were very good friends with this guy at work.
Listen to me.
Who?
That's all hearsay.
Even though I have a document saying that I was suspended?
Okay, whether you were suspended or not, I have to have a witness to tell me why you were suspended.
Well, the paper says why.
How do I know if the information they got from them is the only reason that they had to think that you were using drugs? How do I know that? That's not legal in a court. You can't use that as evidence in a court. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. They owe you $320 for their share of the security deposit and the bills that they have. And next time, you have to be careful when you talk about somebody else's reputation. Do you understand? That's all.
Nina Taylor is suing 25-year-old Amanda White for taking back a 1998 Ford Contour she donated to her. Amanda claims Nina misappropriated the donation.
Miss White, according to what I read, you gave Crystal a car.
Yes.
So you gave it to her?
Yes, ma'am.
As a gift?
Yes, ma'am.
When you gave Crystal the car, her mother invested money to have the car fixed. Then, according to Miss Taylor, you took the car back.
Yes, ma'am.
And she wants the money that she invested in the car because you took the car back. So now I have to figure this out. Which one of you two ladies is Crystal?
Me.
Crystal, stand up next to your mom. When did you give Crystal the car?
Late July.
What kind of car was it?
A Ford Contour.
What year?
98.
How many miles did it have on it?
Approximately 200,000.
Okay, so it didn't have much value to it.
No.
And why did you give her the car?
The whole purpose, I paid the car off, and I said that when I get a new one, my whole point of not trading the car in was to give it away to somebody who was in need when I found
Fine, so you
that
gave it to
person.
Crystal?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
We worked together.
Why did you take it back?
We were waiting for a title to the car because I had a lien. I had trouble getting the title because of the lien. Miss Taylor contacted me right before I got the title, and she told me that she was suing me. She did not want the title at that point. She wanted the money that she says that she put into it. So I told her that I wanted receipts and I wanted to verify with my mechanic.
You have the car?
Yes.
You just give it back to Crystal.
That's not true.
Just a second. Listen to me. Perhaps Miss White didn't understand, so I have to explain the law to you. When you give a gift, you cannot give a gift with tentacles. You don't have the right to say, well, I'm giving it to you because I want to give it to somebody who's needy. But then if you do something with it that I don't like, I'm going to take it back.
Well, it's the whole idea that I was being sued. If I'm being sued for $2,000, prove it. She didn't want it.
Very
She
good.
didn't want the car. She didn't want the title. I told her I have the title.
Oh, fine. Well, just give her the.
something?
Just listen to me. Just give her the title.
I would at the door. At her door.
A second.
I
Listen
went
to
to
me.
her door and told her I
Perfect.
had it.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Just a second. Listen to me very carefully. You're not entitled to any money. You're entitled to the car. Period. End of discussion. Do you understand? My question is now, do you want, Miss Taylor, this is your lawsuit, do you want the car?
No.
Then your case is dismissed.
Why is that, Judge?
Because you are not entitled to the money. You fixed up the car. You're entitled to the car that she gave you. It was a gift. It was an unconditional gift. She gave it out of her heart because she wanted to give it to somebody who needed a car. You took it upon yourself to fix the car. You fixed it. You invested money in it.
But the car wasn't free. The title wasn't free. She just
It
got
is now free. Is
She
that
just
right?
got it free and clear. She didn't have it in August.
Now she has the title free and clear. Do you want the car or nothing? Do you want the car or nothing?
The car, I mean, I put money into the car. I mean...
Do you want the car or nothing?
Car.
Good. Take out the title. You'll take care of signing it over to Miss Taylor. Fine?
That's fine.
Good. Bird, have him sign over the title, please.
Okie dokie.
Perfect. Is the car at your home, Miss White?
Yes.
Okay. When do you want Miss Taylor to pick it up, or Crystal?
Anytime.
Fine. You're a doll, Miss White. You're a nice person. It was a nice gesture.
Thank you.
This case stands for the proposition that no good deed goes unpunished. That's all. Thank you.
We've heard that
That's
all week.
Gary Estes III says he was assaulted in his home by Ryland Oliver. Ryland says Gary swung at him first.
Mr. Estes, it is your claim that Mr. Oliver was an uninvited guest in your home and that he assaulted you in your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Oliver, although he acknowledges that there were blows exchanged, says that he struck you in self-defense. You actually hit him first. And it is his claim that he was invited, not by you, but by someone else to the house. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
19.
You go to college?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
Oklahoma City Community College.
Could you try to speak a little slower? I'm old.
Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City Community College.
You live at home?
Yes.
And you, sir?
I go to a community college in Cleburne, Hill College. I did go to University of Oklahoma until this happened.
Changed schools?
Yes.
Did you have an apartment?
I was renting a house from witness Mark's parents had a rent house, and we were renting it from them.
How many people lived there?
3.
Were you living there as well, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. What's your name?
Mark Williams.
Are you scared?
No. Kind of nervous. A little nervous. I'm sorry.
Step over here. I have a couple of questions. Mr. Williams, this is your parents' house?
Yes.
Who was the third roommate?
Christopher.
Do you know Mr. Oliver? Did you know him before this incident happened?
Yeah, I knew him from high school, just randomly, just because we went to the same high school, I knew of him.
But he wasn't your friend?
No.
So you didn't invite him to your house?
No.
What date did this incident happen?
May 22nd.
Did you invite him to the house, Mr. Estes?
No, ma'am.
Did you know him from before?
No, ma'am.
Now, this Christopher person, is that the person that you knew?
No, ma'am.
You didn't know Christopher either?
No.
So you didn't know any of the 3 people that lived in this house?
No, ma'am.
What brought you to the house?
My friend DJ was leaving for the Navy, and they were throwing him a going away party, and he called us and asked us to come by.
You know DJ?
Yes.
Was he having a party at your house?
No, ma'am.
How many people were in the house on the evening of the 22nd of May?
About 7. We each had a friend over.
Was DJ there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was the 3 people who lived in the house, plus 4 guests?
Yes.
All guys?
It was Sarah, one of her friends.
That was a girl.
That was a
Sarah
girl.
is definitely a girl.
Well, her friend is a girl.
What?
Her friend is a girl.
And DJ and us 3 that lived in the house.
Okay, so it was just a small gathering?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can sit down. Okay, so DJ said come on over to say goodbye?
Yes. He said they're having a going away party for me, and he asked
Well,
us
it
to come
doesn't
over.
sound like much of a party. There were only 7 people there.
There was more than 7 people there. There were people in the front yard.
There were only 7 people in the house, according to them. Where had you been that evening, Mr. Oliver?
I was over at a friend's house around campus.
Anybody drinking?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes.
Who was driving?
Me.
How did I know that? How do you think?
I don't know, man.
You'll never know. So you were drinking and driving and went over to see your friend DJ, and what happened, sir?
When we were leaving the
Who's
party,
we?
my friend Ricky, and I had one more friend with me. I guess people overheard us and thought we were going to another party. So we had about 5 carloads of people following us saying we're going to another party.
You had 5 carloads of people following you where?
They thought we were going to another party, man. We tried to tell them that we weren't, and they followed us anyway.
What time?
About 2:30 in the morning, ma'am.
You got the picture here, sir, that I'm not happy with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay, well, when we got there, we were walking up to the door. Mark lets me and my friend Ricky and David in.
You had let 3 of them in, is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what happened, sir. Thought he just said that you let them in.
I opened the door. I was the first one to open the door, and I see there's 30 people outside that I don't know. And I see him and Ricky. They first come in. I never said they could come in. They just kind of pushed me aside and came in.
Okay.
And then they ran into him.
Now, where were the other 30 people that were outside?
Just out in my front yard. And I was like, I don't want these people here because my neighbors are going to call the cops, you know. They're making noise.
Right. 5 carloads of them.
Yeah.
So he ran into you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say?
I told them it was late. I didn't know who they were. There were 20 or 30 people out in our yard. We didn't want them here. They needed to leave. He tried to push me aside, and I tried to push him out of my house, and he dragged me outside, and
Just a second. Well, Mr. Oliver, when Mr. Estes told you to leave, why didn't you leave?
Man, Mr. Estes never told us to leave. When we got there, Mark let us in. He stops us in the hall, and he put his hands on my chest and asked, who are all these people?
Who were all these people?
Yeah, because they were still walking up.
You mean the other 30 of them?
I don't know if it was 30, ma'am.
5 cars. He said to you, who are all these people? And what did you say?
I said, ma'am, I don't know. They followed us here.
And what happened after you
Well,
said that?
when he put his hands on me, I pushed his hand down like that, and I asked him not to touch me because I didn't know him. And he looks at me crazy and tells me that, you know, he pays the MF in rent here, and grabbed me by my shirt like that and tried to push me into the door. And when he did that, I kind of put my weight forward, and when I did, he swung at me, and he hit me in the jaw. And I retaliated by hitting him twice. He falls forward on me, I'm on my back, and I try to get up. I push myself, and he's still got a hold of my shirt. So people are running over there kicking and hitting. I'm getting kicked, he's getting kicked. I can't get up, and then I finally get pulled to my feet from one of my friends. And then when I got to my feet, I saw Mark had a cast on his hand. I don't remember which hand it was. But he's pushing people back, and he swung it at my friend Ricky here. And Ricky blocked, and it hit him in his forearms with the cast. And then Ricky pushed him back, and pretty much got out of there after that. Because I didn't know those people. It was, I mean, it's a rich neighborhood. It's 2:30 in the morning, so we left. I didn't want to be involved with that situation.
Well, Mr. Oliver, if you didn't want to be involved with that situation, sir, why didn't you just go home?
Because my friend
Instead of making trouble by stopping with 5 carloads of people that you don't know that have been out drinking all night because it's 2:30 in the morning and they're going to another party. Instead of being involved in creating a situation where none existed, Mr. Oliver, you created an incident. You had had enough to drink, you were behind the wheel, you were taking a caravan over to someone's house that you didn't know in the rich part of town. You brought with you 5 carloads of drunken teenagers looking for another party. That's what you did. You created an incident because you're young and stupid. Mr. Oliver, they don't live in a rural area on 30 acres, do they? They live with houses right next door?
Yes.
With maybe people who are not 19 years old?
Yes.
30 in the morning?
Probably.
Maybe not interested in hearing you and your moronic friends? Probably.
Ma'am, when we got there, it was not 7 people there. They had people outside
Listen
drinking
to me,
in front of the
sir.
yard.
You brought over 5 carloads of people to a neighborhood where they didn't belong. And if you wanted to say goodbye to your friend, and if unfortunately 5 carloads of people, strangers, started to follow you, you go to the local police precinct and you say, these 5 carloads of people are following me. I don't want them to follow me. But you don't take them to an unsuspecting neighborhood unless you're an idiot. Can I see photographs, please? You have photographs for me?
No.
Was he arrested?
No.
Why not?
Because the police said that they felt that if we pressed charges, he'd retaliate. And
Can I see your police report, please?
And that's, the picture of me is proof that I didn't just get pushed when I was trying to break it up.
No, you got you were
I got
assaulted.
hit.
Mr. Oliver.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times you were arrested before?
Once.
When?
February 7th, I believe.
Of this year?
Yes.
For what?
Possession of marijuana and speeding.
So at that point, you were arrested for using an illegal drug and driving, right?
No, I got arrested for possession, ma'am.
Well, either you were using or selling. I mean, you weren't decorating your house with it, right? Either you were using or selling.
I was using, ma'am, but I was...
Well, that's the answer. Can I see your unreimbursed medical bills, please? Anything you want to say to me?
No, ma'am.
Good idea. You're a fast learn. You have any idea how many people were hitting you?
4 or 5, at least, were kicking me.
And the 4 or 5 that were hitting you and or kicking you, because you have serious lacerations in your head, were those the people that came in this caravan of 5 cars? They weren't your guests.
No, they weren't. And I still have shoulder rehab I have to go through. I may have to have surgery on it.
There are consequences to your actions. One of the consequences to your actions is having to listen to me. I'm telling you that your actions caused him serious physical injury and a lot of pain and suffering, because I've seen the photographs. Have you seen them?
Nope.
Would you like to see them?
Not really.
It's mature. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Ann Gribben claims professional singer Porter Singletary stopped performing halfway through her son's birthday party. Porter claims he was rattled by one of the guests.
Miss Gribben, you hired the defendant, who is a singer,
yes,
to sing at your son's birthday party.
Yes.
You gave him a deposit of $250. You want that deposit back because you claim that he came to the party and left after performing 3 songs.
Correct.
Mr. Singletary says that he came to the party, he was ready to continue with his part of the contract, but you had at least one unruly guest who wouldn't stop heckling him, and you did not take care of your guest. So that's his defense.
Yes.
How much were you supposed to pay him for the evening?
$450 for 4 hours.
And when did you hire him?
I'm not exactly sure of the date. I do have a letter that I did write him enclosed with my check.
Okay. What date is on the letter?
July 17th.
And when was the party?
18th of August.
How far do you live from the Gribben home, sir?
Oh, 15 minutes.
And tell me what happened when you got there.
I brought my equipment in.
What equipment did you bring?
Sound equipment, PA equipment.
And you set up?
And I set up.
What time did you arrive, sir?
I got there at about 10 minutes to 7.
You would do there at 7?
I was supposed to start at 7:30.
Okay, great.
And I actually started at 7:20 because there were guests there.
Okay, keep going.
So I started singing at about 7:20, doing everything basically that they've always heard me sing in the past at other events. It was about 8:10, still singing. They informed me that the son was going to arrive. When the son was to arrive, I was to stop the music and we're going to sing happy birthday to him. So we went ahead and we stopped the music. He came in at about 8:20. I've already sang an hour. And then the son comes in and we all sing happy birthday. And he comes in, he walks through. I continue to sing. A lady came up to me and she said to me, "Can you pick the pace up a little bit? Can you sing something a little bit more up?" I said, "Sure, fine."
Not Miss Gribben.
Yeah, I don't know who this person is.
You mean the person who came up to you?
The person that came up to me. So out of respect to the household and the people that were there, I said, "Okay, fine." So I sang something a little up. I sang 2 more songs. Then the lady, she comes back again and she says, "Could you sing something, a little bit more up?" And I go, "I am singing up. What do you want me to sing?" She says, "Oh, I don't know, just anything, but sing it up." I said, "But if you tell me what kind of music you want, I can sing it." So then she says, "Oh, just go ahead." So I sang a couple of more songs. She comes right back again after 2 songs. And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Well, could you sing something a little more up?" I says, "Look, this is your 3rd time to come to me. You need to tell me what it is that you want." So then she says, "Well, just anything." So I said, "Okay, fine." I turned the music off, and that's when I went in to look for the plaintiff. The lady that had been coming to me to ask me these questions, they were in the room together. And when I came to the door, they were talking about me, and they both turned red in the face because they were saying something. And then I just said, "I don't know who this lady is." I said, "You know what I do? She wants me to do something that I don't know what she wants me to do, and it's total throwing off everything that I do as an entertainer." Within about 2 minutes, all of a sudden some music comes on, blasting. Some kind of rock punk music. And I go, "What are you guys doing?" And then so she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that this is happening." And
Who said that?
The plaintiff. And then so
who changed the music? Who changed the music, Miss Gribben?
The bartender.
The bartender. Go ahead.
So then she said, "Oh, Porter, I can't believe this." And I just said, "Well, you know what? I'm an entertainer and I'm singing, and I sing with a feel. And when you change the mood of the show, it throws everything completely off. And this music, and the kids are just bouncing their head around, and they're into this music."
So they're into music.
Up to this music.
Okay. You left because of this disagreement that you had with her son's fiancée.
Well, whomever this lady was.
That was the son's fiancée.
It was the son's fiancée, the girlfriend, yes.
Girlfriend. Girlfriend, fiancée. Now I'll hear you.
Okay, I remember it a little differently. First of all, Porter's a fabulous singer. I don't question that one bit. We've seen him at several venues, different places.
And nobody's ever had a problem with him?
Nobody that I know has ever had a problem with him.
Right, that's why you hired him, because you liked the way he sang, and nobody ever had a problem with him.
Super
so now I'm hearing you.
But it's a little different. The times are a little different. He wasn't there that long. I remember it that he sang 3 songs.
Well, he sang more than 3 songs.
Oh,
Three songs last half of the amount of time we've just spent together.
Okay. Okay.
So I know you said 3 songs. That wasn't true. Keep going.
Well, what happened was my son's girlfriend did interrupt him. I don't know how many times it was. Porter came to me, what he's saying is true, and he was telling me what happened, and he was upset about it. And when he told me, I was upset about it. I had no idea. But I want to just tell you one thing that was a little different. Porter was going to come that day with a DJ, and what happened was 2 things. He was going to come at 1 o'clock that day, and we were going to go over the song list. But it was his birthday that day, and he called me and said his family was taking him out to lunch. Would it be all right if he didn't come? I said, yes, it's fine. We'll see you tonight.
Okay.
And then when he got there, I said, where's the DJ?
You mean you thought you were going to get a singer and a DJ for $450?
Right, well,
what planet do you live on?
I'm sorry, not a DJ. I'm sorry, DJ equipment. I'm sorry, not a DJ. I'm sorry.
So you had entertainment for the entire day where he was going to sing and DJ equipment when he wasn't singing.
Correct.
For $450. Keep going.
Okay, but he got his DJ equipment stolen, and I said the reason I'm bringing that up is I said that was no big deal. I mean, he sings beautifully.
Let's go.
But what happened was when he came to me and told me that my son's girlfriend had interrupted him, you know, I told him that I would immediately speak with her, and he's telling the truth. When he stopped playing, the bartender turned the music on. So I told Porter, I said, I'll turn it off. I mean, I begged him to stay. I mean, I told him I'd do whatever I could to, What
did you say to your son's fiancée?
I asked her, I confronted her immediately because she walked in right kind of behind Porter, and I said, what's going on?
And what did she say?
She says, well, I just wanted him to play something a little different or something a little upbeat.
Well, it's not
up
to her.
Oh, absolutely. I said, let me handle this.
And what did she say?
Oh, okay, you know, but I mean, I agree that she was rude. But what I told Porter that night, I said, Porter, I mean, you're terrific, and everybody here thinks you are. We want you to stay. I mean, I'll muzzle her. I'll do whatever you want. I mean, it wasn't unruly guests. I mean, it was he has to admit, it was family and friends.
Got it. He came to perform in good faith. According to you, you've seen him perform at many other venues.
Yes, I did.
He's never had a problem.
Well, no, not that I know of.
If he'd had a problem, you would have known about it if you were there.
No,
so he's never had a problem. You hired him. He wanted to do a good job. Clearly, something at your son's birthday was so distasteful that he felt as if he was prepared to risk your good offices to say, I'm leaving. I can't work in this kind of environment. You acknowledge that your guest was rude to him. He doesn't have to tolerate somebody being rude to him. You know, it would have been nice if he said, well, I'll suck it up and continue to play, but he doesn't have to tolerate that. He can leave. So the question is, was the time that he spent at your home worth $250, which was your deposit? And it was. He's an entertainer. He entertained. He came to your house. He spent an hour and a half there. He set up. He performed for $250. That's a bargain. He's entitled to $250. So, did your son have a good time at his 30th birthday?
We still had a good time, but it was an embarrassing thing.
Of course you still had a good time. Well, don't you think he was embarrassed?
Yeah, I guess I've seen it a little bit differently, but I mean, I don't deny that he, you know, is not a good singer. I mean, I can't say that.
No, he was embarrassed.
It's just that we tried to do our best to make it good with him. I mean,
I believe that you did. I believe that you said, let me handle it. You said
I did.
To your future daughter-in-law, let me handle it. She's still the girlfriend?
Ex-girlfriend now.
See what happens? All things work out for the best. How much after the party did she become an ex?
Couple months.
Couple of months. See how things all work out for the best?
We didn't really like her.
You didn't
probably
really
shouldn't say that.
Well, listen, you never know what's going to happen in the future, so got to keep all your options open. But it sounds to me as if he had a good time at his party.
He did.
Good. I'm glad. He's entitled to his $250. That's all. Thank you.
Amy Evans is suing her ex-boyfriend, Timothy Beeler, for an unpaid loan to pay his rent and for the accrued interest on the loan. Timothy is countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
Miss Evans, Mr. Beeler was a friend of yours, and you took out a loan for him very high interest loan because he was in need of money. You want him to pay you back. The defendant says that you gave him money. He told you not to take out such a high interest loan. You did it anyway. And he's got a counterclaim for some nonsense because you're angry at him for not paying back the loan. So he says you've been harassing him for the money and telling people that he's a deadbeat, right?
That's correct.
Well, you probably are. Truth is a perfect defense. Why did you take money from her?
I didn't take money from her, Your Honor. It was a...
Just a second. You did take money from her.
I did. She offered...
No, listen to me. You did take money from her. It is my judgment as to whether that is a loan or a gift. My question to you is, why did you take money from her?
We had been seeing each other, whatever was going on with her, in her relationship with her husband or whatever. We started talking again, and she had stayed over a couple nights. We were pretty close. We were getting along pretty good. I was telling her my situation about my roommate. He skipped out on me, left me kind of hanging. I was a little short on my rent and whatnot. She said she'd try and help me out. She came up with some money. Yeah, she handed it to me, and I took it. It was a gift. I didn't know that I was forced to pay back.
Just a second.
And everything was cool, and we started talking about our relationship and stuff and what we were going to do. Well,
tell me about that, sir.
What?
I'm confused because I read the papers, yours and hers. Tell me, when she stayed over at your house, did you stay in the same room?
Yes.
Did you stay in the same bed?
Yes.
I'm not paying Amy for anything. She gave me the money with the hopes of rekindling our romance, which has been over for years, according to you. Now, if it had been over for years, sir, why did you share a bed with her?
Why
Could you stand up straight, please?
Why did I share a bed with her?
Yeah, you said your romance has been over for years.
We were hanging out. We were seeing each other.
Hanging out is not sharing a bed.
Well, kissing and other things that go in that matter are. So, yeah, we shared a bed.
But you, listen.
Yeah,
but
we did.
Then you, listen to me.
Well.
Listen to me. Then you lied to me here when you wrote in this answer, she gave me money in the hopes of rekindling our romance, which had been over. So that's a lie.
Because.
Just a minute. That's a lie then, based upon what you just told me.
No.
That is absolutely.
Because when I told her I didn't want a relationship no more, she took off, didn't call me or nothing. She started telling a bunch of people that I was a deadbeat and all that.
You are a deadbeat.
Well, whatever. That's your opinion.
How old are you? How old are you?
34.
34. If you're 34 and you can't afford to pay your rent and you borrow money or you take money.
Took it.
Take money.
Yeah.
I'll decide in a second whether you owe it to her. Take money from a woman who you say the relationship is over, and yet you share your bed with her, and according to you, talk about a relationship with her, and then take money from her. That makes you a deadbeat. And it makes you an amoral deadbeat. Because what you're doing is saying, listen, I need some money. She's going to give me some money. So I'll string her along. You know, I'll hug her and I'll kiss her and I'll sleep with her. And I'll sleep with her. We'll talk about our relationship.
I'm speaking.
I don't think so.
Hey,
it takes two. I'm speaking.
It takes two.
Did she take money from you?
No.
Your Honor, if I may.
Just a second. Do I look like I need any help from you?
No,
Sit down.
No, ma'am, you don't.
Sit down. You kissed her. She kissed you.
Right.
You hugged her.
Yeah.
She hugged you.
Okay. What's the point?
You took money from her.
Yeah.
She took money from you.
No.
Right. How much money does he owe you, this idiot? How much?
With interest, he owes me $3,900.
Just a second. You don't get any points from me for being an idiot. Okay?
Okay.
And if you take out an interest-bearing loan, and the interest on the loan is 87%, you'd get zero sympathy from me. Now, how much money did you give him?
$2,500, Your Honor.
That's what he's going to give you back. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
But, Your Honor, I had to pay $1,100 interest.
You shouldn't have taken out a loan for him, madam. You gave him $2,500. This idiot had no concept that he was going to have to pay you back $3,900.
He knew it was a loan, Your Honor.
He knew it was a loan.
And he knew about the
and
interest.
He's going to pay you back.
He was supposed to go back to work and pay me back.
Listen to me. He was supposed to go back to work. He didn't go back.
He was working.
I was working.
He was working with me. She was calling and texting.
Oh, all he does
to me.
He works everybody he knows. That's all he does.
Question?
No.
Very good. He owes her $2,500. The rest of it is her own stupidity. Goodbye.
Beth Garcia claims her boyfriend's ex, Jamie Petola, vandalized her car by keying it.
Miss Garcia, the defendant is your current boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
And also the mother of his child.
Where is your boyfriend today?
He couldn't make it because he's had too many issues with her and pending court problems with her that he has to take care of, so that's why he couldn't make it.
He didn't have any pending court matters today, did he?
None
No.
at all.
Hmm?
None at all. He never
None at all.
has.
But he decided to take the high road and just be absent, even though he probably created all of these problems to begin with. Now, when did you last live with, what's his first name?
E. Lincoln.
E. Lincoln?
E. Lincoln.
E. period Lincoln?
Yes.
Well, what's his first name?
E. Lincoln.
There's no period between the E and the Lincoln. It's just E. Lincoln.
E. Lincoln. When did you first live with E. Lincoln?
When was the first I lived with him?
Yeah. First, give me the year.
Probably it was 2001.
And when did you last live with him?
2005.
When in 2005?
Around February, March.
And when did you start to be involved with Mr. Lincoln?
We officially were involved in October.
Of 2006?
2005.
Before a friend.
So there was a little overlapping?
No.
Yes. I was living with them and she knew.
Okay, so there was a little overlap.
Yeah.
But they
were
weren't
keeping it
together.
Yeah.
Hey. There was some overlapping. Now, it is your claim, Ms. Garcia, that the defendant vandalized your car, not on one occasion, but on multiple occasions.
Yes.
And despite the fact that you never saw her vandalize your cars, you have proof by way of admissions that she did, in fact, vandalize your
Yes.
cars. The car was vandalized.
On the morning of October 23rd, 2005 was when I noticed it, so it was that night.
Okay. And what was the nature of the vandalism?
She had keyed...
Don't tell me what she did.
She keyed
Someone.
profane
No,
words.
listen to me.
Someone.
Shh.
Someone keyed profane words on my hood, my driver's door, and the back driver's door, because it's a four-door, and put key marks on the rest of it, and knocked off the driver's side mirror.
Okay. Do you have photographs of the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them. Now, with regard to this incident in October, what proof do you have that the defendant was responsible?
Well, before my involvement with E. Lincoln, I believe he said it was like in 2002.
Don't tell me what he said to you. That's hearsay.
In 2002, his vehicle was vandalized the same exact way.
You cannot tell me anything that he said to you, because that is hearsay. Do you have any proof that the defendant committed that vandalism on your
No.
car?
I have a police recording because on the night of January 3rd, 2006, she was calling my phone saying, I'm going to vandalize your vehicle again. My roommate...
Okay, so you have a recording.
Yes, and the police report that stating that the police...
Let me see it, please.
That he heard the recording.
Where is the recording now?
They couldn't get it through, but we do have it, but it's real fuzzy. But the
She
police
probably messes with the cop. She probably messes with the cop.
No.
She probably talks to the cop.
I'm not speaking to you.
Sorry.
Car was damaged again when?
The next damage was on March 6, 2006.
Okay. With regard to the March incident, you told the police that it could have been any one of three people.
Right.
Sorry. I'm already convinced, madam, that you damaged her car in October. Already convinced based upon the police report. You want to be responsible for March too?
No.
Then keep your mouth shut. You told the police with regard to the March incident that it could have been any of three people. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Those three people are her friends.
I don't care, but you're not responsible for your friends, Ms. Garcia. So you have no proof with regard to March 6th. Is that correct?
That's correct, but then there was another one.
When?
April 10th. And that one, both the taillights were broken off and both the side mirrors were broken off.
Did you have any conversation with the defendant about what happened to your car?
After the January 3rd conversation was the only conversation.
Okay. You want to explain yourself, madam, with regard to the October 23rd, 2005? You want to explain yourself to me?
I didn't do it.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Then why, madam, when the police got you on the phone, which they did?
Why isn't that? She probably talks to
Just
the
a
cop.
second. Would you get her out of here? Thank you. Get her out of here. Why did you hang up the phone when a policeman identified himself on the phone?
Because when a person says the police are on the phone, you don't know if you could go to jail for something stupid or not. She played on my phone up until she called the cops on purpose, and then that's when I called back and was arguing with her because she told my son when he stayed at her house with my ex-boyfriend that she don't like me and all this other type of stuff. So I called her and was, you know, arguing with her, whatever. And then she was like, you did this to my car, whatever. She had the police right there. So he probably was hanging out at her house because she talks to a lot of people and she goes downtown and she talks to cops and stuff. So he probably was sitting right there, maybe. Maybe that's the case. I'm serious.
Let me see the estimate for the damage to your car on October 23rd, 2005.
The October
police
23rd.
Officers indicated that they heard the recording. Your recording.
I didn't get no police report.
But I got it.
They didn't say nothing to me.
Listen to me. I got it. I'm speaking. You don't have to help me.
She don't really know who did it, nothing to her car. It's so many people. She sleeps around with people she don't know.
Listen, Miss Attitude, you were annoyed with her because she was bad-mouthing you to you. I'm speaking. This is what you just told me. You're shaking your head no.
No.
You're shaking your head no. You just told me you were angry with her because she had bad-mouthed you to your son. That's why you were yelling at her on the phone.
Right.
Because she had bad-mouthed you to your son. That was the conversation that you said was overheard by the police officer.
Right, then
that was listen to me. That was after her car was vandalized in October.
Why didn't I call her before and argue with her if I messed up her car or somebody else was messing up her car? Just because I called and argued with her, that don't got nothing to do with me.
Garcia played officers a message on her cell phone left today by Jamie stating, amongst other things, that she was going to damage her vehicle once again. According to the officer, now implicating herself in the previous incident. Ryder was present when Jamie then called back Garcia and heard her repeatedly use profanity when she was addressing Garcia. Ryder attempted to speak with Jamie, however, she hung up on the phone when the Ryder identified himself as a police officer.
Right, I hung up.
She or her friends probably did the damage to your car. Unfortunately, you can't prove it, but you can certainly, you've established to my satisfaction, based on the fact that she was angry with you, based upon the fact that she knows that E. Lincoln was two-timing her. You may or may not have known it, but she knew it.
Yes.
October 23rd, 2005. Was that on or about the same time that you had this discussion with your son?
No, it just was recently when the first time I called her, the time that she taped me.
That was not the first conversation. I had to have my phone cut off.
No, that wasn't just recently, madam. It wasn't just recently. That was 4 months ago.
I know. That was the last time I talked to her.
How did you get her phone number?
She called my phone playing on it with her phone number. That's how I got it.
So what did you call her back for?
Because she was arguing and playing on my phone, so I cussed her out for playing on my phone.
You also said to her that you were going to damage her car again.
I did not say that.
So the police are lying?
Yeah.
The police are lying?
No, I don't think the police are lying. I think maybe it's one of her friends or something.
No. Police were lying?
No, I'm not going to say the police were lying, but...
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,619. That's all. Stay away from her car.
Kate Vermeulen is suing her ex-husband, James Vermeulen, for the unpaid balance on a Saturn he totaled.
Mrs. Vermeulen, this is your former husband, and according to your complaint, you swapped cars with each other because your mother was coming to visit. You needed a larger car. That was last summer. So it's nice to hear that there was at least a reasonable relationship that you had so that you accommodated your former wife, because you have children together, so that she would use a larger car that was yours. And in any event, you wrecked her car. And there was an outstanding loan on the car. The car was, in fact, totaled. And your former wife feels as if you should be responsible for the difference between what the insurance company paid on the car and the amount of the loan that she's still responsible for. And that amount is $3,634. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have a counterclaim because you say at the time she borrowed your car, she had a minor fender bender, but damaged the bumper of the car.
Correct.
To the tune of about $800, and she should pay that.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim. But let's get to the big ticket item here, Mr. Vermeulen. When did you total her car?
I believe it was August 10th. I was on my way to work.
8/10. And when did you damage the bumper to his car?
Actually, it was so minor that I don't have the exact date.
Okay, but you called and told him about it?
Yes.
Okay. And you have a picture of it, I'm sure.
Yes, I do. I have a picture of the damages that were done to the bumper and actually an imprint.
Okay.
Your Honor, it was September 5th, I do believe, when he ruined my car, when he totaled my vehicle.
Why do you think that it was August 10th, sir?
I thought that was the day.
Well, it wasn't. It was September.
In September?
Yeah. Because she would have a police report with regard to it.
I didn't know that there was any police report. I wasn't charged in the accident.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? So it wasn't in August, it was September. That's a big difference.
Sorry.
How do you account for that difference?
I don't know, Your Honor. I was working at that time there. I wasn't really paying attention to the date.
When did you swap cars?
Probably a couple days before her mother arrived. She was coming in for England. Near the end of the summer, which was
in August.
In August.
Now, it's clear that, according to your answer, sir, that the accident was your fault, that your foot got stuck, according to you, on the gas pedal.
Between the gas pedal and the brake, Your Honor.
So it was your fault, right?
I guess if that's the way that you see it, yes, Your Honor.
Well, sir, unless you were driving a very unique car. The gas pedal was put in by the factory. It remained in the same spot. The brake was put in by the factory. It remained in the same spot. You were familiar with the car. You had had it for some time. According to your answer, my foot got stuck between the gas and the brake. You want me to read you what you signed?
No, Your Honor.
So if the foot got stuck between the gas and the brake, it's your fault.
Okay.
Those two things didn't move together.
I was wearing my work boots at the time, which are larger than my way to work. And it is a sports car. The gas pedals are closer together. I drive a truck, Your Honor.
Well, whose fault is that, sir? The car's fault or your fault?
It was an accident.
No, sir. If you're wearing big boots and it's a small car, you take your boots, you put it in the back of the car, and you wear shoes that don't get stuck between the gas pedal and the brake. The car can't accommodate your work boots, right?
Right, Your Honor.
You have to accommodate the car, right?
Correct.
So it's your fault. Now tell me why you believe that you're not responsible for the difference between what the insurance company paid and what your former wife has to pay on the loan.
I believe it's not my fault due to the fact that I wasn't charged with the accident, reckless driving, careless driving. I had a medical report that says that there was no drugs or alcohol involved. I also had her insurance company clear me of all liabilities in relations to her car.
You made babies with him. Just because, sir, you weren't found guilty of a crime, that there was no drugs, alcohol, you weren't speeding, doesn't mean that the accident wasn't your fault. It was your fault. You just said to me I was wearing big work boots. This was a sports car. It doesn't accommodate those kind of shoes. My foot got stuck between the two pedals and I lost control of the car. And I just tried to explain to you what a normal person of reasonable intelligence would understand, that the car can't accommodate your shoes. Your shoes have to accommodate the car. Now, do you have a picture of the damage she did to the bumper of your car?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it. And an estimate on having it fixed.
I have an estimate right here.
Sir, you brought me an estimate from this place for $1,154?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, would you explain to me why?
I'm only asking to cover the parts, the actual bumper itself, and have it painted there. I'm not asking for taxes, labor, insurance there. Originally, I asked her to pay for half because she is still entitled on her vehicle. She's entitled on the insurance, and she's still
Did you have
liable.
insurance on the car?
Yes, I did.
And what was the deductible?
$500, Your Honor.
So that all you're going to pay for is $500.
And then you're going to have a claim with your insurance company, and your insurance will go up. I decided to pay for the claim out of pocket rather than going through my insurance company and having my deductibles raised.
Well, what do you think is going to happen to her insurance, sir? Because you totaled her car. What do you think is going to happen to her insurance company that had to pay out a totaled car?
I'm quite aware that she's going to have a claim with her insurance company, and her deductible will probably go up as well as her insurance payments.
So you mean you want me to give you a benefit and not her?
I'm not asking for special treatment.
Yes, you are, sir. What you're saying is I decided that I didn't want to go through my insurance. So I decided to pay for it myself. And therefore, instead of just paying for the deductible, which I believe she'd be responsible for paying if you in fact fix the car, then what you're saying is I want her to pay the additional amount, which is $822, which is the cost of the bumper, which is what you're suing for. Because if I went through the insurance, my insurance premiums would go up. That's
Correct.
what you're saying to me.
Yes.
But her insurance premiums are going to go up substantially more than yours, sir, because they had to pay out on a new car, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Say nothing. had a $500 deductible. You had to pay out $3,634. From that, I'm deducting $500. I'm awarding you on your claim $3,100. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now I want to see where you fixed the car. Do you have a bill for fixing the car?
That was a quote there. I've had the work done since
Where?
I paid for the parts.
Show me.
I don't have that with me, Your Honor.
Well, why did you bring me this, sir?
That is a quote of what it would cost at a body shop to get it done. What I paid for out of pocket was the parts and the paint.
Why, sir? Wouldn't you bring me the actual cost of what it cost to fix the car?
I didn't have the bills at the time. It was short notice. I didn't care at the time, Your Honor. I didn't really save the bills there. I didn't plan on coming to court. I didn't think I was going to be in court today.
When did you get this?
When did I got that?
Yes.
3 days before I knew I was going to be in court.
Well, instead of put your hand down. Instead of getting this estimate for work that was never going to be done because according to you already did the work, right?
Correct.
So this is bogus.
It's not bogus.
This is bogus.
Quote.
So instead of wasting the time to take the car in to see what it would be to fix the car, which according to you already fixed, so it would be difficult for them to give you an estimate on fixing a car that was already fixed because you said you fixed it. Why didn't you, instead of getting this estimate, go back to the place where you bought the parts and say, I lost a copy of the bill. Can I please have a copy of the bill for the parts?
I could ask for the original copy. I could send them to you.
Why did you waste time getting this instead of getting the receipts for the actual work?
I have no answer for that, Your Honor.
Well, then you're not getting a thing. Strike it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,634. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You did a lot of fast talking, sir. Did not impress me. That's all. Step out.
19-year-old Jennifer Smith is suing her ex-fiancé, 23-year-old James MacArthur, for destroying her property, throwing her engagement ring in a lake, and slander.
Miss Smith, you and Mr. MacArthur were engaged to be married. It didn't work out. And it is your claim that after you broke up, Mr. MacArthur took some of your property, vandalized some of your property, and then posted some very negative things about you on the internet, which you view as slanderous, and you want to be compensated for that. Mr. MacArthur says the only thing that he took back was the engagement ring. As far as destroying your property, he did not do that. And as far as placing items on the internet, he says he never mentioned you by name on any website. How long were you engaged, Mr. MacArthur?
We were engaged for about 2 years.
Did she break up with you, or did you break up with her?
She wanted to take time apart, and I told her I did not want that.
Okay, so she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a good idea that you didn't get married.
Yeah.
If somebody's not sure, it's better off to figure it out now than later, right?
Yes, Ron.
All right, Miss Smith, what items do you claim that Mr. MacArthur stole from you?
He has several of my CDs. He took my engagement ring. I was later informed that that was thrown into a lake.
Well, the engagement ring he's entitled to take back.
It was a birthday present. It was given to me as a birthday present. It was given to me on my birthday as an engagement
your engagement ring was given to you on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, he's entitled to it back.
It was given as a birthday gift, though.
Listen to, watch me. He asked you to marry him and gave you a ring on your birthday. It was an engagement ring. Did you show it to people as an engagement ring?
Yes.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
It was.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
Yes.
You didn't say, this is my birthday present. You got my drift, Miss Smith.
Yes.
If you broke off the engagement, it means the marriage never took place. He's entitled to the ring back. And if he wants to throw it in the lake, he can throw it in the lake. And if he wants to throw it down a sewer, he can do that too. Okay? See how fair I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any of her CDs, Mr. MacArthur?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
I'm not getting myself totally exercised over the CDs. People who were engaged for 2 years, if all they're fighting about is CDs, that means they're not very mature.
I also have CDs that he returned to me that were destroyed when I picked them up.
I'd like to see those.
This is only the ones that were returned to me. That's not the ones that he still has possession of. Some of those are expensive CDs. Some of the CDs that he still has are very expensive.
I don't know what you mean they're destroyed. I have no idea what that means.
If you look at all of them, each of them has a gouge going from the center to the outside. They're completely destroyed. There's absolutely no way of...
Well, this one, Yeah, this one is
fixing
too.
those.
How did that happen, Mr. MacArthur?
I don't know, Your Honor. Her CDs sat in my trunk. I use my car for work, so I have tools coming in and out of my car every day. I don't
Your
pay
Honor,
attention.
my CDs were in a CD case.
Yeah, Mr. MacArthur. That looks like somebody purposely did that.
And it's
there.
it's identical.
Shh. You know how fair I am. This looks like somebody purposely did that. But doesn't that look to you as if somebody did that with something?
Yeah, by all means.
You know what I mean, Mr. MacArthur?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I don't think she would do that to her own CDs, because that would be stupid, especially since she broke up with you. But it would seem to me that you were pretty angry. So I have to put 1 and 1 together. That makes you. All right. So now you have these destroyed CDs, which I am placing squarely at the foot of him.
That doesn't include the ones that he still has.
I just answered your question about that 2 minutes ago. What part of I don't care don't you understand? There's no excuse for him vandalizing your property.
What's the excuse for him posting vulgar, slanderous stuff on the
Well,
internet?
that I want to see. There's no excuse for it. There's a reason that he might have done it, but that doesn't mean that there's an excuse.
He says that he never did it, although he called my house and he called my mother at her work.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me what he told your mother unless your mother is here. Is this what you're telling me, Jeanette?
Yes, it is. I was told to read that.
He doesn't mention your name here.
No, but it says to my ex, you know who you are, and I was told that
Don't tell me what you were
me
told.
to read it.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what you were told. That's hearsay.
And I
There's no,
called
listen
him-
to me. He says, as far as his ex is concerned, one day the sun will die and the night will crawl. Until then, until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are. Right?
I called him right after I read that, and I said, what is this about? He said, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said, you wrote that, yet you didn't mean to. How could that not hurt me?
Ms. Smith, you have to understand what slander is. Slander is something that you say that is not true about somebody in a way that they can be identified. For instance, if he said, my ex, Jennifer Smith, has the following diseases, so everybody better stay away from her, and that's not true, then you can sue him for slander. I'm speaking, you're not listening. That's slander. If he wrote you a letter, and in the letter said to you, I wish you had a slow, painful death, and I was there to watch. I wish you suffer and get a vile disease. And he wrote that to you in a letter. That's not slander. That's the way he feels. That's protected speech. If you wrote this, I assume you did. He's entitled to do that.
It is slanderous, though, because at the top of it, it says, I just left someone who did nothing but use me for my money, and when she was done, she went and found someone new to do the same to them. My current boyfriend was hesitant about even talking to me because of that, because he assumed that because he stated it, that...
Listen to me. Who showed your boyfriend this?
I did.
Listen, I would like to... Listen to me. I want you to kiss the ground. You got the ring back, and that you're moving on with your life. Because she's not wrapped too tight. You got it? Good. But you can't scratch her CDs, because that's childish. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you got to give her $150 for. The rest of your stuff is nonsense! What'd you do with the ring, by the way?
Threw it in a lake.
Attaboy.
Jonathan Pasquinelli says former live-in girlfriend Laura Weathers owes for rent and bills while he was deployed in Iraq.
Bert, would you get the defendant a sweater, please, or have her go outside and get herself a sweater?
Okay.
She looks cold to me. We'll be with you in a moment, sir. Oh, that's much better. Much, much better. Mr. Pasquinelli, according to your complaint, you and Miss Weathers lived together for a period of time. You rented an apartment together, you were splitting the bills. And then you were deployed to the Gulf.
Yes.
And it was your arrangement with the defendant that she was going to stay in the apartment that you would continue to pay half the rent, and she would pay half the rent, and she would pay all the utilities since she was living in the apartment.
Yes.
You returned from the Gulf and found that she had not paid the rent, that the utilities were never paid, and according to you, she owes you a bundle of money.
Yes.
The defendant says that she only lived in the apartment for 5 months after you left, and you agreed to cover her rent because she was a little short, and in addition, she never received the utility bills. They went directly to your parents' house. That's your defense?
Correct.
All right. When did you move into the apartment together, Miss Withers?
November.
What was your financial agreement?
That we would split the rent and the utilities while he was
How much was
away.
your share of the rent?
$675.
Is that correct, sir?
No, it was actually $575.
And how long did you pay the $575?
Up through January, February.
Through January. When were you deployed to the Gulf, sir?
January 17.
Now, what about the utilities? Did you pay half of the utilities up until he went away?
I did.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, she did.
Now, how did your agreement change, Miss Withers, when he left for the Gulf and he was no longer living there?
I actually ended up getting a DUI because my truck broke. I had a tire. It was a brand new truck, and he had said that while I was paying my $3,000 lawyer and all my fines and my truck, that I wouldn't have to pay and that we would do it. I would get it back to you eventually.
And what?
That it was until I was able to. I could just pay what I could.
Was there a full sentence there someplace that I didn't hear?
I don't know how to break it down exactly.
Try speaking in a full sentence, you know, with a beginning and a middle and an end and a start and a finish.
I would just pay what I could when I could.
There you go. That wasn't hard, was it?
It was fine.
So how much did you pay?
$300.
When did you deposit $300?
February.
Show me.
I know he has his bank statement he can prove. I even called his mother to get his bank information.
Well, if you called his mother to get his bank information, that means that what you were doing is you were paying the entire rent out of his bank account. Is that right?
Oh, before he left, he gave them checks in full.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor.
How was she supposed to pay her half?
I left her deposit slips from my bank account to deposit it directly into my checking account.
So it was all taken out of your bank, and
Yes.
she never deposited any money. She says in February she deposited $300. I'm just curious. Do you have any indication of that?
I don't, but I will deposit that money.
So your agreement now, according to you, now that we got a full sentence, Ms. Withers, was that when you could, you would pay him back.
That's correct.
After the $300, when did you start paying him back?
I didn't.
Why?
Because we were talking, and it was just pretty much that whenever I could pay it, I would, and at the time, I couldn't. So eventually, you know, we would just come out in the end. I have an email.
There's a sentence there.
It's coming.
There's a sentence there. I know it's coming.
It's coming. I have an email. There's the sentence from him.
I have an email. That's perfect. 4 words. Sounds just about right.
So, just basically him saying that he knows that I can't pay it, and eventually we will get through it.
Well, that's pretty much what you said. I don't know what was awesome. Something was awesome before we got to the rent.
Oh, we did thousands of emails, so the headlines were a little wacky.
Oh, I see. And he does indicate here, I know you are trying and doing what you can, and I know you'll get me when you can. So, what are you doing now, Miss Withers?
Now I don't understand.
What are you doing now?
In regard to paying him back?
In regard to your life, what are you doing?
I'm an accountant.
An accountant, that's a good thing, so you deal in numbers.
Correct.
And who do you work for?
I was working for Quintera. Right now I'm in between.
How are you supporting yourself again?
Well, unemployment.
Who is this?
This is Anthony.
Anthony. I assume Anthony has a last name?
Palazzo.
And what does Anthony do?
He's also an accountant. He's my boyfriend.
Do you live together?
Correct.
So now you're paying the bills?
Yes.
Not like that at all. This is...
Just a second. Good for you.
That's not the case. Don't make it look like that, because that's not the case.
Looks like the case to me. Looks like he went overseas. I'm sure it wasn't easy over there, and he's expecting you to do the right thing. Instead of doing the right thing, you got yourself drunk. You had an accident with your car. It's not his fault that you had to pay $3,000 in lawyers and fines and everything else that you had to pay because of your own irresponsible behavior while he was away. And so my question is, when do you expect to start paying him back? He expected you to pay him back.
Actually, before he did this, I had set it up where I would be paying him $300 a month. And he was okay with it. And the next thing I know, I'm getting this in the mail. Right after we had had a phone conversation, I had given him $100 just for that week because he had come back.
What did she say when she gave you the $100?
She didn't deliver it to me, her boyfriend did.
And what did he say?
He didn't really say much.
Stand up. Anthony.
Yes.
What did you say when you delivered the $100?
I was just the carrier. I was just dropping it off, gave him the 100.
Good. So you had a conversation with Miss Withers. Is that right?
Correct.
And what did Miss Withers tell you about the $100?
She said that she owed him $100, drop it off after work. And on my way home from work, I just dropped it off, didn't have any conversation.
Anthony.
Yes.
If my girlfriend with whom I was living, or my boyfriend with whom
Yes.
I was living, said to me, here, take $100 to my ex-boyfriend, I owe it to him, I would ask, what for? Unless you're a drone and just do
No, I
things
knew
as you're
she
told.
owed him money.
Okay. Now,
But
what did
she
you...
couldn't
Stop
afford it, though.
speaking.
Okay.
You knew she owed him money.
Yes.
Is that because she told you she owed him money?
Yes.
She owed him.
She did not tell me exact amount.
What did she tell him she owed the money for?
She didn't tell me either. I just
And
knew.
you didn't ask?
I didn't ask.
You are some inquisitive guy.
Thanks. Thanks.
You're only interested in the important things, right?
That's correct.
Oh, that's right. I'm not going there. Anthony, what do you do for a living, sir? You're an accountant?
I'm actually a financial advisor.
So you're not a dummy, right?
No, I'm not.
If my girlfriend said to me, I owe my ex-boyfriend money, you would say, what do you owe money for, honey? How much do you owe him? Did you have a payment schedule? What are you going to do? Those are the questions that a normal person would ask. Now, you, Anthony, look like a relatively normal person.
Yeah.
So don't play games with me, sir. Do we understand each other?
We do.
You don't want me to embarrass you, do you?
No.
Any more than I have done already? I'm capable of it, you know.
Okay.
Now, when did you have a discussion with her about how much and what she owed him the money for?
We really never discussed how much she owed. I just knew that she owed him money, and that was it. I didn't really want to know how much. I didn't want to get involved because I didn't want to get in the middle between money because I know how people act around money, so.
You didn't want to be responsible.
Correct.
Now, Anthony.
Yes.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Because if you say, how much do you owe, and she tells you, the temptation might be there to say, let me give it to you because I don't want you to have any connection with him anymore.
Correct.
So you didn't do that.
I didn't want to know. And
Why didn't you want to know, Anthony?
Because I didn't want to know how much it was. It could have been a lot, it could have been a little. I didn't want to know.
Well, you said I didn't want to know 3 times, and so I'm asking you, why didn't you want to know? Weren't you curious?
No.
Weren't you a little curious?
I was not. Not at all.
When were you deployed, sir? In January?
January 17.
When did she get home?
July 31st.
So she was there ostensibly for 5 months, is that right?
I don't know when she left.
I don't care when she left.
Me
She was
either.
there for 5 months.
Fine.
That she owes you money for. And she owes you $2,875. Now, tell me about the utility bills.
When I got home, I had a $617 gas and electric bill.
Can I see it, please? What were you doing there?
I wasn't even there.
You're making wine? What were you doing?
I have no idea. I
Actually,
wasn't.
this is gas and electric also. And these are unopened. Just, I didn't know if...
Can I see the unopened ones,
Yes.
please?
This is actually cable, which I'm not allowed to have cable in San Diego anymore because the bill's
Okay.
unpaid.
You live at 9215?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and these were sent to 9215? Well, she paid you $300, so I'm deducting that from the $28.75, leaving $25.75. And here is a bill. Ooh, past due, date mailed, May 3rd. You would still be there, right?
No, I moved out in the beginning, of May. I wasn't there.
Well, this is mailed on May 3rd, so you owe $574.20. Cable.
I tried disconnecting that because, number one, I'm not home. Number two, we have no computer, which we needed internet for. And because my name wasn't on it, I couldn't disconnect it.
Why didn't you email him?
Name's on the bill.
Shh. Why didn't you email him and tell him?
No, that's the time.
Listen to me. Why didn't you email him and tell him to cancel it?
I did. I had emailed
Show me.
him.
Show me.
I don't have that email.
Anthony.
Yes.
Where were you working in May?
In May, I was working at Quintera.
And where was she working?
Quintera. That's how I met him.
So that's how you met, in May. When did she move in with you, Anthony?
I would say...
In July.
Jump! Didn't ask you. I asked him.
Beginning of June.
So from May, whatever, when you moved out until you moved in with Anthony here, where were you living?
I was just staying at friends as I was going back and forth because it was closer to my house.
What house?
Or not my house, but to my work. It was just easier because I lived pretty far from work.
Ever been married, Anthony?
No.
Don't do this one.
You getting the drift?
I do.
You do get, I know that you get it, Anthony. I'm looking at your eyes.
She went wine tasting and forgot to pay the bill in February.
I didn't go wine tasting.
You told
Sir, listen to me.
There was a $69 late payment on that bill.
$3,688.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. And say, who is this young lady?
This is my sister.
Very nice young lady, very nice. Thank you. Say, thank you. I got home safely, right?
Yes.
I didn't make any big mistakes over there, and I didn't make any big mistakes over here. Got it?
Got it.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Paxton Durlow is suing tattoo artist Breezy Barrett for breach of contract on the bartering of a vehicle. Paxton says Breezy was supposed to tattoo him in exchange for a truck.
Mr. Durlow, you traded your truck for services to be performed by the defendant, who's a tattoo artist. She paid some in cash for the truck, is that right?
Correct.
And the remainder was to be worked off in this barter arrangement. Is that right?
There was also a bike included in the deal as well.
That you got?
Yes, correct.
Your claim is that Miss Barrett did half of the tattoo and then modified the agreement that you had to complete the tattoo by telling you that you could only come for your appointments between 9 and 12 at a time when you work, therefore requiring that you go to somebody else to have the tattoo finished.
Correct.
That's what you want to pay for, plus some harassment nonsense. Everybody's been harassed. You know who's most harassed here?
You.
And Miss Barrett says that you caused her to lose business because what you did was you kept canceling appointments. And in addition to that, you sexually harassed her. So she's counterclaiming. When did you make this deal with the truck?
I'm not exact on the dates at all. I mean, I have the contract, I guess, in here. So
okay, so let me have the contract, please. Okay, so the sales agreement requires that the tattoo is to be completed in 2-hour sessions, no more than 3 weeks apart, unless otherwise agreed to by the parties, and that's dated 7/21/06, correct?
Correct. Yes.
When did you start the tattoo?
I was already in the middle of tattoos. This deal came on after I was already getting work from her.
So when you were supposed to start it in 2-hour sessions, according to the agreement?
Yes, that would have been starting that date.
So? What happened?
Well, the appointments were going well. Then I would get an occasional push. She would ask me if I could come in on a different day because there was a person that absolutely had to have that appointment. And it was a way for her to make money and that she was a sole provider for her home. So I agreed. And then it became redundant. And then
what?
I didn't agree any further. It started getting to where I couldn't get anything done.
Did you ever cancel appointments yourself?
The last time that I had an appointment to go to was one I canceled.
How many times did she change your appointment?
I believe 4 times, maybe even more.
And was it always because she had a paying customer?
A paying customer or something came up. She did have a mother who was terminally ill, which I fully understood. And she also changed appointments there too, which I did not consider in the claim.
Okay. When did she tell you about this business of only coming in the morning?
After a discussion of me not getting anything done, the whole conversation was via text, and I have it, if you'd like
I'd like to see it.
Would you like to see pictures of the truck as well?
No.
Okay.
Not necessary. Oh, well, here's your problem. Breezy, you're Breezy, right?
Yes.
Here's your problem. It is clear to me that the two of you have a dispute in these text messages with regard to whose fault it was, etc. You know, clearly you were not yourself as a result of your mother's illness, because that's clear from these emails, and that there were certain stresses in your life. But when you say to him, in the future, you shouldn't off your artist until after the work is done, would be enough for me to say that you breached this contract and I wouldn't let you do any work on me. That's a threat. I mean, I don't know anything about tattoos except that I've seen them. They're done with needles, right? Correct. I wouldn't let anybody near me with a needle who said to me I wouldn't take any action until after it was all done and I was happy. You want to say anything to me?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
After 6 months of tattooing on him, I canceled 2 appointments.
Well, that's too many.
One being I'm a sole provider of my children. I only work 5 hours a day because I have preschool pickup, drop off, daycare closes.
Whatever. Listen,
okay.
He's not your mother. He's not your sister. He's not your brother.
He was a friend.
Just a second. You canceled 2 appointments. Not tragic.
My second appointment I canceled was because his appointment was 2 days after my mother died.
You canceled the 2 appointments.
He called and made 4 appointments, 2 weeks, 2 hours back to back. No showed on every one of them. I only work 5 hours a day.
Show me.
Show.
Show
it's
me.
right here.
He says that that's not true.
Right here.
It's in pencil, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter if it's in pencil.
Let me take a look at it.
That's my appointment book. Here's my apprentice who helps make all my appointments.
Do you remember independently making these appointments?
She wasn't there at that time.
Just a second. Just answer my question. Do you remember independently making these appointments, yes or no?
During that point in time.
Just answer my question. Fine. Thank you. I want you to give me the date of the first appointment. Would you give that book back to her, please? Give me the date of the first appointment you say he missed.
Monday, January 15th.
What was the next one?
1/19/07.
Well, that's not 2 weeks apart.
No, he called after no showing and said, sorry, can you get me in? So I did. I slid him in.
Okay, well, that's not 2 weeks apart. First you told me he made appointments 2 weeks apart over a month and didn't appear. So now it's 1/15/07.
Okay.
Then Then you said he called you and said, I'm sorry, could you fit me in? You made it for 1/19/07, and then you say he didn't show up.
Then he had February 4th.
Go ahead.
Then he had February 16th.
Can you show me, Ms. Parent, anywhere in these text messages where you say that he missed appointments on the 15th, the 19th, or February 4th, which is why you decided to change the rule, because you have a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of bad language going back and well, from your end. But there isn't, according to what I see here, one place where you wrote in your email that he missed appointments on January 15th, January 19th, or February 4th. And all of these text messages were written on February 6th. Not one place do you talk about 3 missed appointments.
Those are his text messages.
Show me yours.
That phone was dropped in the toilet.
Oh.
But he could easily have left off the first 4 emails for you.
He could have.
You know?
And your phone maybe could have been dried off from the toilet. You have to take care of the rest of his tattoo. That was your contract with him.
I never had a problem with that.
That was your contract. How much will it cost to finish the tattoo?
It's an estimate because, I mean...
How much is the estimate?
I have it right here if you'd like to see it. He believes it to be between $1,440 and $1,800.
Can I see, please?
It depends on the work.
Where is it? Is it on your arm?
It's on both arms. And
got it.
There's not more than $600 left there.
Well, then you should have done it yourself.
I would love to.
Well, you can't because you threatened him. Okay. Now, you also don't mention anywhere the sexual harassment that you talk about. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, the entire time I worked on him, it was fondling me, grabbing on me. I leave my life for you the whole time. That's why she's here.
Okay, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Francesca Lane says her son's ex-girlfriend, Kristen Hess, and her mom, Susan, owe for medical bills resulting from Kristen being rushed to the emergency room.
Ugh, what ridiculousness. I mean, I just don't understand what apparently are intelligent people getting themselves involved in somebody else's mess. Miss Lane, according to you, you allowed this young lady, would that be you? The child of this young lady over here, to move into your house because she was the girlfriend of your 15-year-old son. Nothing could be dumber. Let's start out with that.
I agree, Your Honor.
Perfect. Then we have no problem.
In hindsight, it was a mistake.
The dumbest thing, and people do it all the time, seemingly intelligent people. A parent can't control their child. A parent says, I'm just as happy if some stranger takes her into the house, or some stranger takes him into the house. And reasonably intelligent people say, well, maybe I can fix this problem, and bring them into their home, which is probably a very calm, reasonable place to live, and all of a sudden there's turmoil. In any event, having gotten that off my chest for the rest of the world to hear, don't take somebody else's problem children into your house. She came to live with you.
Yes.
And there was an episode where you believed that she required immediate medical assistance.
Yes.
She was taken to a hospital emergency room. You're responsible for the bill, and you want her mother to pay that bill.
Correct.
Then there are charges and counter charges of harassment, which I'm really not interested in, because I think that that's a bunch of nonsense, because if this bill had been paid, we wouldn't have any harassment. So I'm turning to Miss Hess. Why did you allow your 17-year-old daughter to move out of your house?
Well, number one, she was rebelling. I said, do you want to take your little wings and fly and test me on this, being 17 years old and working 2 jobs and trying to maintain? Then you go right ahead.
Just a second. Who's working 2 jobs, her or you?
I was.
Okay.
And I tried to talk to this lady, but it wasn't possible.
Just a second. So you told her to get out?
Well, she took it upon herself
No,
to do
just
it
a
at the
second.
time.
I'm asking you whether you told her to get out.
At the time, when she was yelling and screaming about it, I said, well, if you think that's what you need to do, Chris, then you go right ahead. And then you're going to find out.
You're talking about your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
You said to your daughter, get out.
17. Rebelling. No.
Did your mother tell you to get out of the house?
No.
What did she say?
I said I wanted to go live with Francesca.
And your mother said what?
She said, if that's what you want to do, then go.
Your Honor.
What?
The story that I was receiving was that Kristen was having extreme abuse issues with
Just
her mother.
Who? From whom?
From her mother.
From whom were you receiving this story?
Both Kristen and my son.
All I want you to do is tell me what Kristen said to you, not your son. Where is your son?
He does not want any further...
He's not here.
Correct.
Fine, then you can't tell me anything that your son had to say, only what Kristen had to say to you. Tell
Okay.
me what she said about the abuse she was having from her mother.
She said that there was physical abuse. She also stated that her mother had some mental issues and that there was some extreme situations regarding that.
Is that what you told her?
No. I
What did
never
you tell
talked
her?
to her about anything.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I didn't.
Well, what reason did you give her for wanting to come and live with her?
She wanted me to be a nanny.
Nah, that's ridiculous. That's a lot of baloney.
I don't need a nanny.
Just to say, that's a lot of baloney.
Her husband was going to Iraq, and she said she wanted me to move in to help with Carly.
That's baloney. You just told me that you had this discussion with your mother, and your mother said you were rebelling, and you were talking back to her, and you were difficult. And you said, I want to go move in with my boyfriend. And she said, if that's what you want to do, go. So don't tell me she offered you a job as a nanny, because that's ridiculous.
I think that's what it ended up being when she got there. Then she
Well, when she got there, she may have said, listen, can you help me out with the children or the child or whatever it is? That's fine. I mean, she's living there. She's supporting her. I assume you gave her no money, right?
Oh, of course not.
Of course. Well, that's not of course not. It's not of course not. You told her to go. That doesn't mean you're absolved from the responsibility of supporting her. She's under 18. Do you understand?
Right.
Fine. Okay. So, when she got there, she said, listen, you're here, you're eating my food, you're living under my roof, you're using my gas and electric and water and telephone, you can help out with the kids. But that's not why you went. Now, tell me about this episode that landed you in the hospital. You had a what?
Urinary tract infection.
From too much sex?
No.
From what?
I get them. It runs my family. We get them really easily.
Oh. Have you had that problem when you lived with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your mother ignored the problem?
No, ma'am.
She's taken care of the problem.
Yes, ma'am.
How has she taken care of the problem?
She would take me to the doctor.
And how often did she do that?
Every time I would get sick.
You know why she did that?
Because she cares.
No, because she cares. I hope she cares. But she did that because the law requires that she take care of her minor child's medical conditions. Otherwise, she's guilty of neglect. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now, when you were living with Miss Lane and you got this urinary tract infection, tell me about what you did. Did you scream? Were you crying?
Yeah, I was crying.
Were you crying because you told her you were in pain?
Yes.
What did you say to her?
I said my stomach hurts really bad.
So what did Miss Lane do?
She wanted to take me to the hospital.
And what did you say?
I said I wanted to wait for my mom to get off work to take me.
Is that what you told her?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what she told you?
No.
What did she say?
In fact, Kristen had spent the majority of the day with her mother, and her mother had gone into work late in the evening.
You mean it wasn't hurting when you were with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell your mother about it?
Yes.
And what did she do?
She wanted to take me.
What did she do?
Nothing.
Right. She went to work.
Exactly.
And you went to work. And you went back to Miss Lane's house.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you have a history of urinary tract infections, and you know that it becomes a problem and it's chronic, why didn't you take the day off from work and take her to the doctor?
I told her I was going to take her the next day to doctor's care. We didn't have the money for the emergency room. I said, drink water and cranberry juice through the night until I can get to you, because we didn't have the money to take off. And I said, I'll take you tomorrow, first thing.
Then you're neglecting your child. Why didn't you take her that day?
Because I had to work.
That's not an excuse when your child is sick.
She couldn't drink water and cranberry juice. I've done that for years.
An excuse. Well, evidently it didn't work.
This one here kept calling, harassing me at work. Tried to run my daughter off the road.
Just a second.
Going to school, I said, Kristen, let me help you. Mom, I can handle it. Mom, I can handle it. It's been nothing that's been like a fatal attraction.
What are you blabbering about? Now, your daughter spends the day with you. She tells you that she's got the urinary tract infection back, which she's had before, which you know is chronic, which she says runs in your family. And you say to her, go home to Miss Lane's house, drink water and cranberry juice, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I said, drink water and cranberry till I can get you there tomorrow, because I was at work.
Till tomorrow. What did I say that was wrong?
I was at work day and night that day.
Who cares? Your child is sick. You're not supporting her. How long had you been living with Miss Lane before you got this urinary tract infection?
Maybe not even a month.
And in the month's period of time, how much money did you give Miss Lane from your mother to cover your expenses?
I only paid like $15. The agreement was $15 a week for a few
How
weeks.
much money did you get from your mother to give Miss Lane to take care of your expenses was my question.
None. None.
You have other children at home?
I have 4 children.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
16 and 18.
So you have a 16-year-old
I have
at
a
home.
16-year-old in Virginia with her father.
So you don't have any children at home?
She lives with me.
She wasn't living with you when she lived with Miss Lane.
I didn't want her to go over there. She shouldn't have let her go over there. And it turned into a harassment thing with this lady.
Miss Hess, that's a lot of excuses. If your daughter spent the day with you, day before this incident occurred, then you should have said to her, sweetheart,
I was not.
You're not going
spending
home.
the day with her that day. I was at work.
Oh. How much is the bill?
Your Honor, I have one bill for $13.86, a physician bill for $2.11, and I also took care of all her prescription bills, which came to right around $70.
But Your Honor.
Go.
Can we show you on the paperwork where this one
She
went there?
told me that she wanted to foster me. She wanted to adopt me, put me on her health insurance, her driving insurance, wanted to make me part of the family, everything. She even wrote it on the paper that she was my foster mom, told me not to worry about the bill, that she would take care of it until Colby broke up with me, and now she's trying to get me for the bill.
Went back and changed
You
the paper.
are an idiot. And that's also probably congenital. Listen to me very carefully. Your mother is responsible until you are 18, which you are not, for your food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and all other necessaries, period. End of discussion. Unless you are an emancipated minor, which I haven't heard you went to court to become an emancipated minor. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $16.67. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Chết mẹ. Nhanh đi anh ơi, ôi đi vệ sinh mà, đau bụng quá. Ngươi hay bó đây anh?